Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with James Farley.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And Sean Bell.
We've just settled into just all saying hello. I feel like we used to put a bit
I was thinking that the other day, actually, yeah, because the whole point in introducing each one of you is that new listeners can go, okay, his name's Matt, that's that voice. His name's James, that's that voice, and there's Sean. But when you just say hello, it's kind of like, it's not enough.
Last time I tried something else, it kind of like threw everyone off, so I just thought, I'm not going to do that.
What did you do?
I can't
Didn't
remember.
You do a Wizzle-Wazzle or something?
Yeah, hoi, hoi, or something like that. No, James. I can't remember what I said, but I said, hello, David, or something like that, and then
whoa. Dave, you need to say, and Sean. No, Sean, how's your week been, Sean?
The more we do that, Sean, the more we're going to be like some sort of Radio 2 show, you know?
No, it needs to be like a shit comedy night vibe. You're just like the MC and you're just like, the compare. Just asking
Tell me how to do the show. Tell me how to host now. Is that it?
Yeah, basically.
Is this the level you got to?
No, just a suggestion. It's just a suggestion, mate. You do what you want with it.
Okay, chuck it in the bin.
Probably nothing,
We would like to say a massive thank you to our Patreon producers for this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, and Steve Garrett. They are Team Full Nels, and we love them. If you would like to go full Nels, or if you want to support us in any other way, please go to patreon.com/TCGS. Bonus podcasts, live talksovers, become a full Nels member. It's all on there. So get down to patreon.com/TCGS. Let's get to the feedback, Matt. Quiet week, was it? Quiet? Very quiet on the old emails
not
this
much
week.
happened last week, was it? It was pretty...
No.
Pretty standard.
No.
I mean, I think we should just move on to news. I
certainly, Sean, didn't have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb for large portions of last week. Didn't have to do that.
No.
So, because it was so quiet. Matt Murray.
I'm still pissed off on last week, frankly.
Can we just move on to the news? I mean, I think that'd probably be the best thing to do at this stage.
Well, let's go through this feedback, this clump of feedback on this one specific podcast. I mean, I'll be honest,
Can you not
Sean,
say clump?
I'll be... Why not? What's wrong with clump?
Oh, I feel a bit uneasy.
Why?
Clump?
Clump's a...
What's wrong with the word clump?
Oh, no. It's fine. I'm just like, it just brings up horrible thoughts. I'm
just the sound of it.
Okay, all right. Well, don't blame me for that, Matt. Blame yourself.
Clump of what? What are you thinking of?
Can we talk about it on the bonus show? Because this sounds fascinating.
This is proper bonus show content. $5 a month, guys. Well worth it. Find out what Matt thinks.
Find
out Matt's got issues with the word clump.
I've got an issue with the word clump.
Sean, I don't know about you, right? But when last week's show was recorded and we were done, I was thinking, oh my God, we are going to get hammered. We're going to get absolutely hammered all week.
Yes.
I have been very surprised by how split the opinions have been from our audience over this.
Same.
It's been pretty even, I think.
Yeah, I mean, more even than I expected. Yeah, I thought we were going to get the shit kicked out of us, to be honest.
All right, we're talking about the bet, obviously.
I've got thoughts on that, but okay.
Go on then.
Well, let's go to
the feedback
yes,
first.
James definitely 100% correct, and other people saying, well, but it is this. So, like, yeah, I know that's the actual answer, but it's funnier this way.
Well, let's go through the feedback, Matt. Come on.
Okay. Well, Sean has helpfully split it up into Team Matt and Team James. So we'll start from the top. We'll start Team Matt. Start with the people who actually understood the bet.
Remember these names, by the way. Remember them.
Left, right, and centre, just because of a gaming podcast. You know.
Okay, we don't need your opinions. We need the things read. So
Joe
let's get
in
to
Seattle. So just to be clear, the official position of TCGS is that the Xbox Series S is not a next-gen console. It's the cheapest of Microsoft's and Sony's next-gen consoles. Y'all didn't specify the cheapest between high-end ones only. Your decision seems dubious to me. Paul Gildeer, normally Team James when Matt was done. Capone's is nice and simple. I don't really understand the issue with the bet. There are 4 next-gen consoles. One is cheaper than the rest. It's that simple. James, I assume it's not our James. All right, guys, I think you need to rethink the bet decision. Went back and listened to the bet pod, and the bet was that James said, I'll bet you that the PlayStation's going to be cheaper than the Xbox. And Matt says, I'll take that bet. and it will be based on a day one price. The Series S is the cheapest next-gen option, regardless of specs, and it is a next-gen console. So I don't think the value of or which is actually better should be a factor. Going off bet wording, Matt wins. Just my thoughts. Ollie, there's absolutely zero logic in the explanation about why he lost. Then again, Life is Strange was last year's GOTY, so I shouldn't expect a reasonable argument. Vintage TCGS.
An excellent game. An excellent game.
Cammy Toman, I hate to say it, but Matt is right. The Xbox is cheaper. I can play next-gen games on S, therefore it is a next-gen console, and it's cheaper than any PS5 model, so it wins a bit as defined as which next-gen console is cheaper.
I will say this, the amount of people coming in to defend Matt, I don't know why they have to chuck a dig in there as well. Like, no, I mean that seems a pretty common thing.
Bit harsh.
Basically, this is like a theme. Yes, it's not really next gen shit. It's complete nonsense. I hate that it makes Matt win. Don't get me wrong. But in this instance, he's right. I mean, I saw loads of them saying, I know Series S is next gen, but I'm Team Boomstick all the way. I don't care about the actual answer. We're going to end with this one on. I mean, I had loads of spot, obviously, but we're going to end with this on Chris Bush because it's quite goes into detail, which I like. Chris Bush, whilst I expect the decision was made to wind up Matt and generate better responses from your listeners, as I'm doing now, I couldn't help but get in touch to say I'm 100% Team Matt on the next gen console bet. What this comes down to is one simple question: is the Series S a next gen console or not? Given the bet was simply about the cost of joining the next gen, you're essentially saying that you don't think the Series S qualifies as a next gen console. As it clearly plays Series X games, your decision seems to rest solely on a belief that the ability to render games in 4K is an essential requirement for a console to be next gen. It's worth remembering that the Series S does upscale games to 4K, so you're really basing this decision on rendering a game in 4K versus upscaling it to 4K. Feels like quite a stretch, and the conclusion you came to is more like the kind of thing I'd expect to see from an uninformed BBC Tech reporter. It really is a pretty elitist position to take if that's genuinely what you believe. Of course, I expect you don't really believe this, with Dave even referring to the Series S as a next-gen console later in the show, confirming this. Anyway, it's certainly entertaining, and I look forward to the video of the loser regardless. Keep up the good work.
Cheers, man.
We had loads, but let's get on to Team Farley. And then we'll have a discussion. Nathan, listen to the show on my next-gen flagship phone, and he linked to the iPhone SE. Simon Nelson, I think he got the decision right. Both top-tier consoles, same price, so I had to go to a tiebreaker to choose the winner. Let's be honest, we all know tiebreakers are a bit rubbish, so I think the Series S is more of a three-quarter step compared to the others, plus it was funny. I've got so many things I want to say, but I'm going to keep reading the feedback, because it's fair. Vinyl Matt 24, regarding the debate that occurred after the announcement of the bet results, I just wanted to make a quick point that whilst I completely agree with Sean and Dave's ruling, I think that Matt has missed out on a compelling argument when comparing next-gen consoles to flagship phones, i.e. Samsung and iPhones. Whilst the Series X is undeniably the flagship console for Xbox, surely the flagship console for Sony is the one with a disk drive and not digital only. I mean, actually, Sean, you've actually snuck one of mine in there.
Yeah, you put that in there. Yeah, that's a Matt.
Well,
therefore, basically,
but it's also nonsense.
Were you struggling?
No, it's just, I mean, if you look at it, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, no.
Anyway, okay. Reese, I just wanted to weigh in and say I agree with Dave and Sean's decision that James won the bet. But when they... Okay, this is me again. Okay, but when they start out agreeing with Matt's argument, they should compare the flagship models. Then surely they're suggesting a comparison should be between both disked models, as a disk drive is part of the flagship hardware. I understand why this wasn't done, though, because a draw is no fun. In the interest of defining whether the Series S can be considered the true next-gen console, maybe we should ask Matt why he hasn't pre-ordered the S, but has pre-ordered both PS5s. I rest my case.
Interesting.
Peter Haynes, just catching up on the pod. If the Series S is the flagship next-gen console, Matt should cancel his Series X and go with that. The decision made by Dave and James, Dave and Sean is the right one. Okay, but there's, I mean, basically, yeah,
one more, and then
yeah, James totally won. Keep up the excellent work. Christopher Love, there are 3 next-gen consoles and one inferior option that can't reach their visual output. Don't really believe this, but I'm just on Team Boomstick.
Okay, right. So we're going to address this, Matt. You'll have your chance to have a say. Obviously, we've been talking about this a lot throughout the week, Sean and I.
Yep.
I'm interested, James, because this. I mean, this would be interesting, I suppose. Regardless of the decision we made, what were you thinking going into it? Did you think that you'd lost the bet?
Well, hang on, because I want to know what the parameters of the discussion after this are going to be.
Even James believes I won, but he's scared to say it in case you change your decision.
Seriously, do you think Matt should have won last week?
See, the thing is it all depends on the point of view, doesn't it? And you see, before, when we were... No, it does.
Yeah, and we were asking for your point of view. Legitimately, as you were coming into that podcast, do you think Matt should have won?
I thought he was going to win.
Because it was a cheaper console.
Yeah, but then also there's other factors to this, which...
No, there's no factors in the bet, James. It was which is the cheapest console.
Well, no, I mean, I've got a recording of David, actually, here, from when we were watching... I was going to use this on the show, but I didn't use it because there was no need. Oh, where's my phone?
Okay.
It's annoying. I've got... No, because when we watched the unveiling of, like, the price and all that kind of stuff, and, like, Dave basically says at that point, like, this is cheaper. Like, this is the... he's like... the PS5 is like, this is way cheaper than I thought it was going to be. This is going up against the Series X, and it's cheaper. And it's like, that's... You see, I still view that as being... like those listeners have said, like they've written in, it's like, Matt, would you buy the Series S over the Series X, as a next-gen console?
Well, no, but that wasn't about the bet. It wasn't which is the cheapest, most powerful one. It was...
Okay, all right, okay, stop. We'll get onto that later, but you still haven't answered the question. James, legitimately, hand on heart, do you think Matt won this bet?
I don't know where this is going, Dave. That's why I'm...
I'm asking you a fucking question, mate. Hand on heart, can you honestly say that you won this bet and Matt lost?
Well, no, because the parameters of the bet are ridiculous. That's the problem, because we didn't know... This is what was ridiculous about this from the beginning, is that we didn't know that there was going to be these different models. So when we made the bet, I viewed it as being... It was one console against another, not all these different SKUs that were going to be like different, completely different
that's
ones.
Fine. That's all I want to hear from you. That's all I want to hear from you.
Didn't really ask the question either. Didn't answer it. So.
Well, he did. He sort of said, look, the bet changed. What do you mean? Yes, he did.
He didn't answer the question. He said, well, I didn't know it was going to be 2 SKUs. And
Okay. So seeing how it went, do you think you won, James? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, there's the answer then. Okay. So the ruling stands. I will say, looking at all of the feedback we've had, at no point did we say, the Series X isn't next gen. Did we?
No, everyone seems to have taken that as a really sort of binary statement. I think the point we were trying to make is just that there are way more compromises involved with the Series S than with the discless PS5. Which us...
this is it. I know we'd spoken about this bet a lot over the months, and unfortunately, I couldn't find the specific part of the conversation, so this isn't officially submitted evidence. But we did bring up the case of what happens if multiple SKUs come out and at different levels and stuff, and we said, well, we'll go with the flagship stuff. We'll go for the top end consoles that come out. Couldn't find that, so I'm not submitting that. But what I did do is I listened back to that bet, like that other listener did that messaged in, and I found a quote from Matt that I found quite interesting. Where is it? Here we go. I'm going to find it now. The bet from it says, Matt said, as they were making the bet, I can't see them making the same mistake again and releasing their console, talking about Microsoft, for more than the Sony equivalent. Now, would you say that the Series X, the equivalent to the Series S, is the PS5? Matt, that's a question for you.
Would I? Can you repeat the question?
Would you say the Xbox Series S, the equivalent to that from Sony, is the PS5?
I don't think Sony has an equivalent.
Exactly. So you would say the Series X, the equivalent to that, is the PS5.
Okay, right, yeah.
You can buy a PS5 for cheaper than the Series X.
So if we say, okay, the equivalents then are both the same price, are they not? So as a tiebreaker, maybe we should say which is the overall cheapest. Oh, that's the Xbox.
No. As a tiebreaker, you go. Well, hold on. They've only just removed the disc drive from the PS5, and it's coming in way cheaper than the Series X.
Yeah, so then
You're
it wins
still
the
getting the
tiebreaker,
same
doesn't it?
innards.
Yeah.
Just not that. So that's the tiebreaker.
Well, I mean, if we are going to do tiebreakers,
you can get a system with a similar
to the original bet, which is cheapest, and the cheapest is the Xbox. If we're going
but it's not the equivalent system by your own admission.
No, but we just said equivalent. Both like the
you
top
said
spec
equivalent.
ones.
You said equivalent.
You said equivalent.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, so if we say the equivalent Series X is the same as the PS5 or the disk drive.
No, we didn't say that.
But they both have disk drives, and they're both like the more expensive ones.
Okay, so all right, so if you were to consider the Series S and ignore the power of it, right? If you were to ignore that, it's got half the hard drive space. How much would it take to get you up to a terabyte on a Series S? So what are the cards? They're 220 quid, are they?
Yeah.
That's for an extra gig, which would actually be over. So what? So
okay.
So half of that.
Half of that, 110.
110.
To so you're then
cheaper,
bringing it up to the same price as
still be 360.
But then also you've got to consider CPU speed as well, and all
exactly.
that.
PS5 is then better spec in all of the.
This is a level of detail that the bet didn't consider. The bet was which is the cheapest. It wasn't which is the best value.
But as we now know, it's too simplistic. Way to look at it.
As you said, Matt, as you said by your own admission, no, it wasn't. It was which is the cheaper of the equivalent systems, of which is what you said, and that's
that was discussed after when we actually placed a bet. The bet was just, I bet you the PlayStation is going to be cheaper than Xbox. That was the bet. There was other we talked after about other things here and there, but the bet itself, which I took.
Before we go on to what we do with the bet, you said that you had some stuff prepared. Let's hear it.
Who? Me?
Yeah, didn't you at the start? You said, I've got a few things I want to say about this.
I was living, I could actually probably talk like another half an hour about how bullshit it is, frankly.
Well, we've used your own words there, the equivalent console.
But the bet, when I took the bet was, I bet you James said, I bet you PlayStation's going to be cheaper than Xbox. I said, I'll take that bet. And so going by, is PlayStation going to be cheaper than Xbox? No, Xbox, inverted commas, Xbox is cheaper than, inverted commas, PlayStation. Because you can get a new Xbox, next generation new Xbox, cheaper than next generation
but it's not the same. It's not equivalent in any way.
Yeah, but those weren't the fucking words, Sean.
No, they were your words.
The only other way out of this is, okay, we just look at the equivalent ones. They're the same price. It's a tiebreaker. No one does anything. That's the end of it. Done.
Well, if they're a tiebreaker, we'll say, okay, which is the actual cheapest, which is what the bet...
But it's not an equivalent.
Cheapest,
it's not an equivalent.
We didn't fucking say equivalent, Sean.
No, you did.
Yes, you
no,
did.
after the bet. The bet.
No, this was during the bet. This is as the bet was being made, right? Here we go.
First generation. If and that's just people just assume that from the components and the power of these consoles that's been reported, but if Microsoft come out and said, actually, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'd love for that to be the case. I can't quite see it, but we'll see. I just can't. I cannot see them making the same mistake again and releasing console for more than the Sony equivalent. No way. That'd be insane. Matt, do you want to do a bet?
That's when James said, "Well, okay, we'll carry on." Yeah. That's the end of the clip. But hold on, one sec.
No way. That'd be insane. Matt, do you want to do a bet? We've not had one of these for a while. Do it.
That's the end of the clip that I've got.
What?
What do you mean?
I want to hear the actual words. James said, "Here's the bet," and I would agree to that or not.
Go back and listen to it.
You had a clip you cut off before the bet. That's funny.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Obviously, the bet isn't going to change. I'm not fighting my corner because I know it's not going to change. It is what it is, but I'm just
it sounds
pissed
like
off
you are.
Because it's... Well, obviously it's not going to change. It'd be ridiculous if it changed.
Okay.
But I'll be forever pissed off, and I hate every one of you.
Noted.
Do you know when people email in and go, it's so great, because, you could tell you're all just mucking about with each other, but secretly you really get on. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
It is the most ridiculous thing we've ever done. It's the thing that's pissed me off the absolute most.
I don't think... I honestly, I need to find that other clip where we bring in the situation of cheaper consoles, where we bring in the idea of cheaper consoles. I looked for it all day today, I couldn't find it, but it's definitely somewhere. We were talking about what happens with the cheaper consoles, and that's where the word flagship come up.
I also know
the flagship one because I suggested we add the prices of all the consoles released together and work out the cheapest that way. And then I'm pretty sure Matt said, no, that's ridiculous. So I said, okay, well then we'll go with the flagship.
See, I'm pretty certain that we didn't even get that far because we talked about it, and I remember you just saying, me and Sean will decide, you know, what it is. I don't remember even debating that.
No, this was later. This was like a random... This was between the bet and now that come up.
It doesn't matter. We never would have gone into this level of detail about power or teraflops or value. It's just like which is cheaper, and
it's just which
cheaper,
equivalent system is cheaper, as you said. So you know.
Okay, right.
I didn't say it. We actually place the bet. So,
well, yeah, I said that, and then you said that was the bet, and then so that's what happened.
Okay,
we'll never know, James, because Dave's clip ended a bit soon. So.
We're 20 minutes in. Should we move on?
Probably should.
We shouldn't have done feedback at the beginning because I just want to go. I just want to turn the fucking podcast off, frankly.
I'll be honest, Matt.
If you want to go, you can go.
I'll be honest, when I was doing the edit last week, it was quite funny looking at your waveform and how there's a point where you just vanish for like 40 minutes. Because obviously we'd done the result of the bet.
It's all right, Matt. We've all been there.
Yeah,
when that happens.
Well, to be fair,
that's been there, James.
It went to sort of James's normal energy levels, to be honest. But
just flatlined.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back into it. David Trapmore, I was surprised to hear you dismiss the Nintendo Mini Direct announcements. I thought it was the best we've seen in ages. Shadow Drop of Hades and Ori 2, both of which I would urge you to play as 100% deserve a place in your Game of the Year show. More on that later, probably. Plus a number of really other good announcements. Nintendo have been knocking out of the park recently with more common directs.
Yeah, no, I said I thought it was good. Even like obviously biased because it started off with a massive Monster Hunter thing, but even without that, yeah, I thought it was. I mean, compared to the ones we've had, I thought it was okay.
Cool.
I'm starting to think that they're a little bit like, you know, when you go back and you look at the lineup of a festival that you've been to when, like, from years ago,
yeah.
And you go, oh my God, they were playing in a tiny tent and now they're this massive band that I love and I didn't even know they were there. Yeah. I think it's going to be like that. I'll look back at old Nintendo Directs and go, that's one of my favourite games, and they announced it and I said that was a shit Direct. What was I doing? It's a similar feeling.
Last week, someone emailed in saying, thanks for ruining the game, or whatever it was. And we were like, what the hell? And we're like,
this is Kaiser Soze, right?
Yeah, the spoilers thing.
We said, you know, we're going to ask if you gave us a bit more detail, because we're not sure, you know, what did we ruin it on stream or on the pod? We're usually quite careful. Kaiser Soze has returned with another email. It wasn't during the podcast. It wasn't during a stream. It wasn't about a game. You know what you've done.
I mean, we really don't. Honestly,
thanks for the detail, Kaiser.
It's like the shit is super villain. It wasn't on a podcast. It wasn't on a stream. You upset me. Do you know what I mean?
When did you spoil the thing I mentioned?
The game has legs but cannot run. It goes up and down.
What fly? But do not go there.
The guy's the Riddler. He's like the shit version of the Riddler. I've got one for you. I was really expecting to find out what it was then.
Yeah, shame.
No, and you can, you know, we did actually say like just a bit more specificity would be really good, and he's just come back with that. So I mean, it's really not a lot we can do with that.
This could be Christmas until we find out what it was.
What looks up but can't look down, has no neck, and is a game you spoiled.
But it wasn't during a podcast. It wasn't during a stream. It wasn't about a game. You know what you've done.
We don't know what we've done.
No, we don't.
We don't. I think, yeah. I don't know what we've done. I don't even know if I should begin to feel bad about it or not.
Well, this is the thing.
I'm leaning towards
when we do
no.
slip up. When we do slip up with spoilers, we usually get about 10 messages about it.
Yeah.
When we're getting one from the Riddler, it's hard to take seriously. But we apologise if we screwed up. But I mean,
but we don't know if we did or not. So yeah.
We've got no idea. We can't apologise for anything.
Sammy from New Zealand. Hi, lads. I have some thoughts on the ZeniMax acquisition. Read last week's discussion. While I have a PS4 for the top-notch exclusives, I do the majority of my gaming on Xbox and Switch, and will consider myself mostly an Xbox gamer. I saw a lot of outrage regarding the idea of these games going exclusive to Xbox, etc. For years, the Xbox as a platform and the community have been dragged through the gutter by PlayStation fans and a large portion of the media for not having exclusive content or giving people a reason to have an Xbox. Now that the Xbox has over 20 studios and is looking for more, the gaming community is up in arms and all doom and gloom. The hypocrisy and irony of the situation is both hilarious and pathetic. Part of me understands why people would be upset, but the other part of me says tough shit, deal with it and buy into the Xbox ecosystem. Sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for. This only makes Xbox more competitive and is going to be better for gamers at the end of the day. Cheers lads, hope you all got your pre-orders in for a PS5 and Xbox Series S and X without too much trouble.
Xbox is... Sorry, I was going to say, Xbox is basically Manchester City or Chelsea, aren't they? Like, at this stage. Just like
please explain for me and anyone else. Is this just like throwing money at the problem?
Just like buying tons of studios and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's what they're doing. You know, they're sort of...
That's why everyone's kicking off, because, I mean, when you look at the exclusives that Sony have, the majority of them seem to be ones that they've built up, whereas Microsoft have bought these existing brands as such, if you want to call them that, existing titles, and that's why people are pissed off, because they want their Fallout on PlayStation, because that's where they've played their Fallout games.
So, PlayStation games have come through the Youth Academy. You see, they've gone through the whole thing.
Just drop the analogy. You were doing all right. Then. You were doing all right. The only way you could compare Xbox to Microsoft right now is if Microsoft couldn't defend to save their life and needed the referee to dig them out of a hole. But
that would have been better if you'd have said Man City or Chelsea then, Dave, rather than Microsoft. But it's
Oh, did I screw that up again?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Sorry about that. So I don't know, man. I think the good thing about Microsoft fighting for their lives at the moment, which is what they clearly are doing, is that they've forced Sony to make consoles cheaper, and it is good for the consumer, you know? Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to see how long that £70 price tag lasts on the next-gen games for PS5.
See, also, the other thing with that is that, like, now they've got all this content, like Microsoft, which is a lot of content. This is going to force, like, Sony to have to like push, you know, to get those studios to like start, you know, to produce a lot of stuff, isn't it? Which probably is not going to be good for developers, but you know, it should mean that we'll get some really good games.
Or Sony could just acquire a studio themselves.
Yeah, although I don't think they've got the cash, have they, to do that kind of thing? Not on like the sort of...
Have you got the cash?
How would you know? Yeah, but
no, they haven't got the cash, Dave, in the same way that Microsoft have. Like, they can't just like chuck out like $20 billion or whatever on buying somebody. They clearly are not in that position.
And Microsoft haven't either. It's $8 billion, but
they could have
if Sony like say, you know, we need to compete. Look what Microsoft are doing over there. Then they might put their hands in their pockets and buy someone.
Yeah, maybe. I think, I understand...
One thing that... sorry, go on.
I understand the mindset that, like, PlayStation exclusives have... There's, like, a certain... I don't know. It feels like there's a sort of common ethos behind them all, right? There's a certain level of, like, production values, and they're all very cinematic, and there is a sort of weird consistency across a lot of, like, you know, a lot of the big PlayStation exclusives, which makes it feel like, you know, PlayStation/Sony are having some sort of, like, they've got a vision, maybe, whereas with Microsoft it's just a bit like, just fucking buy everything. We don't know what we're doing, just like, which I don't think is the case, but I can see why people be like, no, like, Sony are trying to achieve something specific with what they're doing, whereas Microsoft are just like, let's just make it so that 90% of all the games you play, probably some money ends up in our pocket because we fucking own everyone. And yeah, so I get it, but also, yeah, I think there is an element of, like, it's just that people, like, some people are just Sony people and want to shit on Microsoft, whether they've got no games or they've got too many games, as if that's a thing. So yeah, I see what Sammy's saying.
It's almost like Microsoft are starting this generation. I mean, they've had consoles since the original Xbox, but it just feels like they're like, well, we haven't developed any... I mean, And obviously they haven't redirected any major IP. Let's just buy a thing, and so we have some because it takes too long to develop IP. Obviously they got Rare, and Mojang obviously doing Minecraft stuff. But it feels like, look, we've got. I think it's the Initiative, which is a studio in Santa Monica that's basically hoovering up Sony Santa Monica and Naughty Dog people, and it feels like the rumors that they're going to do a Perfect Dark game, but. Whatever game it is, hopefully some big narrative experience if they're hoovering up those sorts of people from those other big studios. So they're doing something, and then they've got other studios which have existing IP already.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because Sony... Sorry, James, go on.
I was going to say, it's just that Microsoft have been recovering, haven't they, from the Matrix era? Yeah. In the sense of all of those studios that got... No, they are, though, aren't they?
The Matrix. Yeah, no, I know. But
it's,
that feel for it sometimes.
They're recovering from that era when they shut down all those other studios as well, like Lionhead and all the where it felt like they did have something that they were building, and then they all just got shut down, and it felt like all they had was just 343 and Forza, and that was it really. Turn 10 or whatever, and then it now still feels like they're recovering from that really.
Yeah, and all those all the big famous Sony studios have all been around for a fair while, as far as I can think. Whereas, as you say, because a lot of these Microsoft ones are just all sort of getting hoovered up or put together, it takes time for, you can't just put a load of talented people in a room and have them instantly make something amazing. I think it takes time for people to bed in, get used to each other, and to sort of establish what their culture is and the sort of thing they want to do. It's like we always say, if a game's having development troubles, whatever, you can't just hire twice as many people because you completely disrupt the culture of the workplace and everything. It's and I think Sony Studios have had
Disney
time to do that. Sorry, go on.
It's like Disney buying everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the same sort, whereas there has been some good points obviously from that, but then some people are pretty critical of what they've done with Star Wars and everything because it was maybe they didn't have a complete plan for what they were doing with that. Yeah.
But then in some ways, but then you look at, sort of the way they're handling the Mandalorian and stuff, and it seems like they really get it. Whereas the actual films were just sort of all over the shop. Very odd.
Okay.
Cool. Tom Durbin, after listening to the pod, I'm convinced that Sean has actual superpowers. Specifically, he can read the minds of other human beings. For proof of this, quite possibly life-changing revelation, look no further than last week's Paradise Killer chat. As James is talking, Sean appears on multiple occasions to react to the things the Canterbury professor says either at the exact moment he says them or just before. The evidence is right there. I'm now wondering whether his job, of which is so secretive, is actually something more heroic or sinister, the one we may actually have assumed. Anyway, something to think about.
That'll just be an edit issue. Apologies, it was me that did the edit last week. I guess either myself or James sort of briefly went out of sync, but it was fine. I mean, obviously I skimmed through it and it seemed okay, but I guess I just missed that bit.
There we go.
But James, don't you smugly laugh. How many edits have you done, mate?
No, I'm more than happy to do an edit. I'd be happy for that. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Well, can we do that one week? Let James edit
this
with no help.
I mean, when do you want the show out?
that would be an issue.
Matt, can I ask you something? Do you really want him to do this week's edit?
No.
Exactly. It's the big argument this week between you two, and we know what he'll do with the edit if he works out how to use the thing. But yeah, maybe 1 week when it's a little bit quieter, we'll let James edit and just see what comes out.
I would. I'd love to do that, just to see what it's like. It'd be, yeah.
No, you won't.
I've no idea what I'm doing, but it'd be funny.
Don't lie. Don't turn around and say you'd love to do that, because you fucking wouldn't. You'd moan about it non-stop. I tell you what, when you do it, James, I'm turning my phone off for 2 days. Okay. And I'm going to turn it back on and see if the podcast is online.
And we're not doing a backup. He's not allowed the backup recording because that's cheating. He's got to edit all the separate audio feeds together.
Oh yeah, you can't use the backup.
But also, you've got to check every fucking second to make sure it's in sync, James.
I've also got to make sure that I don't do a really good job, so then I end up having to do it all the time.
That's true, yeah. It's like, James has absolutely smashed it, so...
I will say this, though. And our listeners have pointed this out a lot, and I'm becoming more aware of it. This started with someone having a pop at Sean because he skimmed through the podcast edit and released a out-of-sync podcast, and we've turned it into having a go at James. I don't know how that happens all the time, but it does. There we go. Go on, Matt.
Cool. Matt Morley, you haven't mentioned me in a while. If you don't do it soon, I'll post some school stories about Matt. That's not the actual Matt Morley.
How do you know? Are you confident that that's not the actual Matt Morley?
Yeah.
Right, okay. We need to find Matt Morley. Let's do a hashtag find Matt Morley.
I mean, Facebook exists.
I was going to say, he's not far.
Matt's sweating. Oh my God, wouldn't it be good if somehow we could get a minute-long video of Matt begging Matt Morley to come on the show? Well, that's an idea.
That could happen, yeah.
That would be awkward. Okay, Mr. Oliver Quest has emailed in. The Oliver Quest. Soul Shattered Parent here. I haven't proofread this, so hopefully this is okay.
Yep.
Soul Shattered Parent here. Oh yeah, I've been promising my 8-year-old a PS5 all bloody year. Do well at school, I'd say, and she did. Feign interest during family Zoom calls, I'd urge, and she went along with the charade. All the necessary conditions were met, all the boxes were ticked, and she was all set for a long session of bug snacks this holiday. That was the case until last week's show. This was the one where James Farley admitted without a shred of remorse that despite talking shite against Sony's bastion of next gen, he went ahead and ordered it. According to the full-grown adult, the pre-orders went live, and I just went, I'll see if I can do it or not. And it went through, and I was like, okay. Oh, bloody K, I've been clicking the refresh button on the order page like a StarCraft champ with no luck. Now, how do I explain to my daughter that a doctor robbed her of a Christmas gift? Mr. Farley, Sony's warehouse counted on you to never place a pre-order. You made it clear when you announced that you would only order an Xbox. And when David, bless him, repeatedly tried to make you realise your greed, when he tried to reason with you to think of others like my daughter, you cancelled your order. Your only response was, I just want something new. Shame, Mr. Farley, shame. Matt is not the problem. David will probably end up putting the plug at last minute like he did with Stadia. No, the problem is the quiet one.
I mean...
I
will tell you this. No, I will tell you this before we move on. There's no way James was sitting at his computer and thought, I just want to see if I could try and pre-order it. He was sitting there like the rest of them, refreshing, trying to pre-order.
Honestly, I was not.
100%. 100%.
I just fell into my basket.
Yeah, 100%. Don't lie to me, James. I know.
No, there's an easy solution here for Mr. Oliver Quest. He can get Buds Connects on the PS4.
That's true.
And most of the PS5 games for that matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Save some money.
I mean, we've discussed this privately, haven't we, James? It's very strange how you do this. I mean, if you remember back to the early days, the very early days of TCGS, the computer game show, where James pre-ordered 3 Nintendo Switches despite having lengthy discussions with all of us about how he wasn't going to buy one, he didn't need one, and he didn't want one. And then we were constantly going, well, why don't you give one of your pre-orders to John Denton then? I will. 2 weeks later, he still hadn't. and then what happened? You finally cancelled them, and then you managed to get one launch day anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
And then, of course, if you remember correctly, the FIFA.
Don't go on that, yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up to FIFA season now, James. So what's the current number?
Well, when's FIFA out? Is it like in about a week?
2 weeks' time, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Couple of weeks.
I'm going Xbox for that. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Xbox.
We'll see.
Well, you don't want to play it until you get a new console.
I cannot wait to get rid of my Xbox, like my Xbox One.
Well, are you going to do like a ritual destruction of it? I think you should.
I could burn it, couldn't I, in the back garden?
To be clear, because normally it's really gross when people do stuff like this, but James's Xbox is fucked. Like
it is fucked.
No one needs it.
At least he's getting, he's jumping into next gen with Xbox by buying an Xbox Series S, aren't you, James?
Yeah. And it's true. Next gen machine.
Next gen games.
I love the fact that he's. Go on.
I'm hoping that CEX are going to give me like £5 for it or something, but maybe I could burn it.
No, James, you should do a Viking barrel, like in Lord of the Rings, where basically you put your Xbox on like a Viking boat down a river and you fire an arrow and it lands and burns, and that'd be great.
Or it's just James in a field and he just puts his phone up somewhere and just streams him just kicking the fuck out of it for like 15 minutes.
If you live closer, you could film it with your drone. And
I'd love it.
Do you know, to really drum this home, right? Before the PS5 pre-orders went live, James had a long discussion with me about why he was getting a Series X, right? And his main point was that £450 is worth it for a console that plays all the third-party games in top quality. Like, they're going to run third-party games better. It's going to last a long time. He's definitely getting a Series X. He's ended up spending more, and he's still not going to be playing third-party games to the best that they could possibly be played. I do not understand James's logic when it comes to anything these days. All bets are off with him. So, yeah, I mean, enjoy your PS5,
all
James.
Bets are off?
Not all of them. Not all of them, Matt.
Well, as we know, that one's been resolved, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Has it, Sean?
Yep.
Well, you said it.
Yeah, in the description on the last episode. Oh, no, sorry, it was in the tweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, you tweeted out last week that the bet was finally resolved.
Yep.
I mean,
so there you go.
Okay, Gavin from Savannah. Hi,
You've
guys.
You've been beaten by your own words a lot today, Matt. I'll be honest with you. I'm quite surprised. I'm quite surprised.
Because people would be like, oh,
that's entire content strategy.
Yeah,
PowerPoint slide number 1. You got to say things that'll make people go, ooh.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
he's not wrong.
What is let's have a look. Is this this spider diagram of in the middle and various different and ooh and that's all connected.
No. Well, actually, there was quite a lot of around the rebrand, which I didn't like. That was, uhs are up and we're down, which is a bit annoying. For the call,
it's not where you want to be.
No, very poor results for Q2. Gavin from Savannah. Just wanted to say I'm loving Star Trek streams. My favourite thing so far is that what has become the nemesis of the crew of the USS TCGS Co. is not the Klingons, the dangerous subspace anomalies, or even the Borg, but the difficulty of following the checklist required to go to warp or impulse speed. I also love the tone of Sean's cry of, "Why are the Borg here?" Much more exasperated that someone it doesn't look like has turned up at a pie, the mortal terror being simulated. Keep up the great work. Look forward to an extreme. Hopefully Dave can make it so he can have all 4 stations manned. I'm sure it'll go much smoother with no AIs to get in the way.
I meant to say
I felt so left out.
Well,
I'll be honest.
Right, I've got bad news. I've completely forgot I'm out this Friday. So I can't join you.
So why don't you give it a skip next Friday? This Friday, then we do a proper one. Not a proper one. Look, sorry. That totally come out wrong. Not a proper
I know what you
one.
meant.
The last 2 streams have been fucking excellent, and I've been watching them just wanting to get involved, like itching to get involved. You've absolutely knocked it out of the park. These streams are fantastic. Like, there's no way else. But what I'm saying is, why don't we give it a rest this week, and then we do one with the 4 of us the week after? Because I can't wait to join the crew.
Well, yeah,
join the crew.
To see if it'll pan out or not. But I was thinking, there might be like ways to have it so that it's got like all 4 perspectives on at once as well. But we'll
oh my god,
we'll see.
Matt, I don't think that's possible. Go on.
I've had an idea for Friday in that case. If you can't do it this Friday, Matt, why don't we do Star Wars Squadrons?
Yes, I was hoping you were going to say that. Although you have to do the campaign first before you can.
Yeah, we need to clarify that, don't we?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can maybe do that though, because that'd be good. Maybe
I'll be up for that.
No, I mean, apart from what Sean's just brought up, so let's not commit to that yet. Did you just ignore Sean there?
Yeah. I just totally ignored him because I want it to happen.
That's fine. Why let facts get in the way? I mean,
it hasn't done for the bet, so. Right, we've got 2 more and then we'll get on to the news. Tony, I have an alternative to the PS5 flaps as a buffer theory discussed last episode. The spoiler on a car is essentially a car flap that pushes a car into the road for increased traction. Hang on.
No, keep going.
What?
Keep going.
Have we not read this one, or did we read it multiple times in a week?
No, this is definitely a new one.
Okay, cool.
I've not heard this.
Okay, so this continues. The spoiler on a car is essentially a car flap that pushes a car onto the road for increased traction. Well, I believe the 2 PS5 flaps push the 2 halves of the console together, and that if you remove them, the airflow will literally rip the console in half. Hope this killed some time for you. Thanks for the shows.
Oh, that's a good theory. Oh, that's a good idea.
I like it. I like it.
I mean, we'll
as we
find
know
out when Dave takes the flaps off in week 1 and
kill him.
I can't wait to see what that plastic's actually made of. That actually propels air forward. It's going to be incredible. What a technology! I mean, can't wait.
Dave,
I might take the flaps off and use them as a fan. I might take the flaps off and just use them as a fan. Just stand them up on their sides and go, all this air being pushed towards me.
Dave, are you implying that the material has to be special to push air around? Is that what you're implying?
No, you were implying that it pushed air out of the system, those flaps. That's what you were implying.
Yeah. Is it like it funnels air out?
No, that's not what you said. You said it pushes it out. There's a difference. You could direct air.
I think I probably said funnels. Of course you can. Directs, pushes, it directs the air.
I think he said pushes. I'm good with this stuff.
I know you said you'll limit the feedback this week, but it is finally the weekend when I have to step up and run the virtual London Marathon, so I was hoping for a cheery good luck from James to keep me going. Save that cheery good luck, James. I'll finish the email and get it ready. For those who want to follow along, from 9:30 on Sunday, 4th October, RB number 39868. That's 39868. As the pod has helped me in my longer runs, I wanted to know there's a question here.
Sorry, I didn't realise it goes into a question, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, James, do you want to give Raji a nice good luck for the London Marathon on Sunday?
Raji, good luck. You're going to smash it.
Yes, mate.
That sounded sinister. If anything, that sounded sinister.
I thought it sounded quite good.
No, he said cheerful. Try cheerful.
That was cheerful.
No, that was
I'll give it the director.
Okay, okay. This is really difficult now.
I thought that was part of it. Did anyone else think that was part of it? God.
Roger, you're going to do great. You're going to smash it. Good luck.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's that.
Okay, it sounded like you were on the toilet more than anything else. But
it felt like you were being chased.
It was horrible.
No matter. That's it. Yeah, we'll maybe get to your question later, Roger. I mean, you're pushing it a bit. Really.
Probably not,
that is
to be honest.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Go to tcgs.co/dearTCGS if you want to leave us feedback on anything we've said or done, apart from the bet, because I don't want to hear another fucking word about that bet.
Can't wait for the video.
You're right.
No, Dave, I'm not. I'm generally not.
All I will say, and I swear to you this is true, we didn't go into this saying we're going to screw Matt over. That wasn't a thing.
Even though that's basically what you have done, because...
but there was no malice in it.
We just disagree with your logic.
Yeah.
The logic being which is the cheaper console.
Well, no, the equivalent console.
The equivalent one.
Fucking
by your own word. Yeah.
All right, James. Sit down.
Okay.
Because you know how you always say, "Oh, you guys are always out to screw me over." Yeah, that's the reason, mate.
Yeah, James.
You didn't need to say anything then, did you?
What would you be feeling right now if you were me?
I've been feeling like this through most of TCGS, Matt, so I know exactly how it feels.
It's a good point. We did set up a whole courtroom scene for him on a live stream, Matt.
Yeah, but on that one, James cheated.
No, I didn't.
We had a simple
and that was a setup.
That
was a setup, and I found out this week that it was a setup.
Wait, what?
Because of the script that we discussed this.
You found out about the script the night we did it.
Yeah, I know, but then also there was that whole point.
If you go to our YouTube page this week, in the Quizzing episode 2 will be up. Yeah. Go and watch it, and it'll explain all this.
Yeah, I mean, it is essential viewing. This is like for me one of like the moments of TCGS, but obviously up to now. Patreon.
A little bit of feedback though, Matt. When you arranged for a listener to pretend he was the developer of Juiced in front of a live audience and confront James about it. James took it better than this.
It's completely different.
It's not, Matt. That was the... Yeah. Anyway.
It's different. That was worse.
Let's move on.
Let's get on to the news.
Okay, Amazon have announced a new cloud gaming service called Luna.
Hey, well, we needed that. I was running short, so it's just great news.
Look, running out of cloud soon, aren't they?
I know you're going to go into the details. I don't know much about it, but the little I do know, it sounds like it's already better than Stadia. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely, it's better than Stadia already.
Go on,
steady on.
Okay, so they're opening. So signups are going to be opening soon in the US, and it's available for what they're calling an introductory price of $5.99 a month. and it's going to be on like PC, Mac, Fire TV, and iOS. Interestingly, which is weird. It's coming to Android later, but it's it's definitely going to happen, isn't it? But anyway, the service provides cloud streaming for a games library that you get for the $5.99 a month.
Hold on, is it definitely going to happen? I thought iOS was against all this stuff. I thought Apple was against this stuff.
It's coming to Android definitely, but it's also coming to iOS because they found a way. Okay, so what it does is it's a web app rather than an app that you download through the App Store.
Oh, so you access it through Safari or something?
Basically, yeah. But then, you see, I was listening, I think it was to The Verge, and they were talking about how like Amazon have clearly worked with Apple to allow this to happen. To allow Safari to do this. So it's weird. The whole thing is really weird. But if they get away with this, then surely Microsoft, whoever, Stadia, Google, they can do the same thing. They can just run it as a web app rather than through the App Store. I mean, this could open a whole.
You'd have thought they'd have thought of that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But odd.
Strange.
Anyway, but so as opposed to Stadia, this $5.99 a month, you actually get games for this. There's like a library of, I think they were saying about like 100 games or whatever, including stuff like Control, Resident Evil 7, Metro Exodus, and all that kind of stuff. And then, so the base subscription cost provides this, it's called like Luna Plus channel, which includes these games. But then what they're going to do is they're going to add other channels later. For other publishers. So, for example, there'll be like a Ubisoft channel that will have like all the new Ubisoft games or whatever. Then presumably what you'll do is you'll just play a subscription, to that channel. So, if you want to play like Activision games or whatever, you just play a subscription to that channel. I mean, I'm assuming this, but that's what they seem to be doing with the Ubisoft stuff. And so the streaming runs through Amazon Web Service, and it allows it's 4K 60 frames per second on some titles, but not everything. And also 2 people can play simultaneously on two devices, like at the same time, which is, I guess that's good. And it's playable with a keyboard and mouse, Bluetooth controllers, or this Luna controller that connects directly to the cloud in the same way that Google's one did, which is going to be like $50.
Was it in the way Google's one was supposed to? I thought it ended up not actually.
Does it not still not do that?
I don't know. I just remember it being a thing that didn't actually happen initially. Maybe they fixed it. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, this is basically the same as Stadia, kind of, but with actual games people want to play included, like straight away, which is pretty good.
Bonus,
and and also cheaper, I think, than.
I mean, I'm surprised a little bit that it's not part of like Amazon Prime or something, or maybe like a limited version of it is with Amazon Prime. Maybe that's in the future for this. I don't know, but yeah, I was when I saw that, I thought. Amazon Prime's not cheap, and maybe that would be good to roll it into that. But maybe the numbers don't work out. They're not going to do that
because they want to make money. Like they've obviously,
I suppose so. But then they did it with their TV service, didn't they?
Yeah, they did get off the ground. I think
Amazon Prime is cheaper in other countries as well. It's just here is ridiculously expensive. It's much cheaper elsewhere.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, Luna.
$20.
I like the pad. It's basically like a Pro Controller.
I was going to say it's a Switch Pro Controller, isn't it? But fine.
Do you know what annoys me the most is that I saw a lot of comments saying, "Oh, this looks like a fake pad that you see in with a Game Shark written on it or something." I don't know if they're an actual brand. I apologise to Game Shark if you're a brand. I wasn't slating your brand, but I didn't think that. I thought it looked great. I thought it looked like a really nice controller.
Yeah,
but it's all right.
Yeah, what weird. I don't know, man. I think it looked really smart. But yeah, okay. I'm assuming that you can use any controller with this service, though, right?
Yeah, I think so. It says Bluetooth controllers, so I'm presuming that's going to mean
so
like whatever you can
Xbox,
connect up.
PlayStation, the Switch, all that stuff. Cool. All right. Well, let's see how they get on. I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of these services out now.
I know, and this is going to have the same problem that Stadia's got. Like, really, in the sense of what. No, it will, in sense of like what exclusive content has this got that makes you want to use this rather than play like whatever on Game Pass or whatever. It's that.
Well, I suppose you don't need a console for that. I suppose that might help a few people. I just can't imagine anyone that wants Game Pass who hasn't got an Xbox or PC. So it's a bit strange, but I don't know. Let's see how they got on.
There's Fire TV is interesting because there's like 40 million of those boxes around.
Yeah.
I guess the most interesting for me, I mean, one, it's only $5.99, so it may be worth like a month trial, see what it's like. But the most interesting thing is the Ubisoft channel, because they said there that basically you'll be playing games like Far Cry 6 and Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the day of their launch.
Yeah,
which is pretty huge.
But again,
so
still
are you going to have to pay
extra
for the Lunar service, and then on top of that, the Ubisoft stuff?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the base thing is Lunar Plus, which you have like that library of games that James mentioned. But yeah, there will be other channels. Again, it sounds like sort of a TV package, I guess.
Yeah, so they're trying to create a cable bundle, aren't they? Basically, of different publishers or whatever, and maybe that'll work if there's discounts.
It's interesting.
Or whatever,
I mean, the fact you can play Valhalla and Far Cry 6 day one. I mean, that's something the Stadia and other ones don't do really.
That's a big move.
Game Pass and their first party games. So obviously no price yet for the Ubisoft channel. But yeah, it's yet another cloud streaming service. I think it's got a better chance than Stadia, but we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah.
The thing about why hasn't xCloud done the whole through a browser thing? I mean, they said xCloud was coming to browser later on, but yeah, it does feel quite strange that they wouldn't have investigated it. I mean, if Amazon clearly looked at Apple's terms of service and said, okay, it's fine to do this through iOS, for a browser, sorry. Obviously, Microsoft would have done that. So something has clearly gone on.
Yeah, obviously they got knocked back.
You can't play xCloud just through a regular browser on a computer either, can you?
And no, not yet.
No.
They say browser stuff's coming, but not yet, no.
All right, go on, next story.
Okay, so Xbox Series X previews have come out in the last day. So people...
They have?
Yeah, companies have had the machine and have been playing around with it for the last week. So GamesIndustry.biz had a short sort of piece on what people have mostly discovered from it. They found that of the 1 terabyte storage that you get, only 802 gigabytes of that is usable because 200 gig is the OS and system files. I mean, you'd imagine that. But I wonder
how big, how big Sony's hard drive will be.
Yeah, because Sony says 825 to begin with.
Well, surely the other question is, because the Series S,
isn't it?
Hard drive's only got 512 gigs, so what? Is nearly half of that taken up by...
It can't be that, can it? Because that would be dreadful if you've only got 300 gig or whatever.
But how are they going to reduce it? It's the OS that's taking it up, isn't it? How are they going to reduce that? It's it's madness.
I mean, I imagine that with the PS5, I'm completely guessing here, but I'm imagining that the PS5 OS is probably a bit leaner than the Xbox One's.
Yeah, that's just plucked out the sky there, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's running off Windows, isn't it? And Windows is massive, in terms of code and everything. But I'm just guessing.
If Sony's is the same, that's going to leave only 627 gig on the PS5.
Yeah,
so you better hope to God it isn't as big.
But the Series S though, I mean, if it is also 200 gig on that is a bit of a problem, isn't it? Because then you've only got 300 gig. But then that's the other thing, because the other thing we discovered from this was transferring files off this is not too difficult, is it? It's 7 minutes, 10 minutes to transfer between a USB hard drive and the SSD.
And that was for a 48 gig game or something, wasn't it? That was
which is
so it's about 7 minutes. It said, didn't it?
Which I can live with that.
Good, I think. Yeah, I mean, you got a 4 terabyte hard drive for, way cheaper than a 1 terabyte memory card that they announced this week. It's a no-brainer for me, I think. We've all got external hard drives sitting about, and they're not expensive. You could get a 2 terabyte one for about 40 quid. I'll just do that, I think.
Sorry, I just imagined any normal person hearing that statement. Yeah, we've all got hard drives lying about and just being like, what?
How do you not? Is that not because I'm usually the last to do something like that, to get something like that, right?
I mean, obviously I've got one, and I can imagine all the 4 of us, but I just, most normal people, I would have thought would be quite nonplussed by that statement.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I'll just I think I'll external hard drive it and slot it out.
Yeah, and they're cheap. So even if you haven't,
the difference is, for example, last night I sat down with John and we said we should play this, and I went, I haven't got it installed, and I knew that it would take probably 2 hours to download the game. Whereas if we did that, I could swap it over in 7 minutes, and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
It's
the only thing I wonder about this though is, if you've got stuff on that other drive, will it keep those updated or not? Because
that's the question. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, because that's a big example, Modern Warfare or whatever, you copy that over, and then it's you've got another 100 gig update you need to run. I
see absolutely no reason why they can't update on that external hard drive.
I mean, mine do currently. So.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
okay, well then it should be all fine then.
So fingers crossed that's the case, but I can't see why they wouldn't. But yeah.
Good. I mean, the other thing they talked about is that there's like obviously quite improved load times from this. Like Destiny 2, like it was reduced. The load time for that was reduced from 1 minute 52 seconds to 43 seconds with the Series X. That's pretty big. Sort of.
Honestly, you need to watch the comparison videos. They're everywhere, and it does make a big difference. Like you can see. Like I don't remember some of the games they were showing off taking that long to load, but obviously they do. And then when you see them on the Series X, you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And let's be clear, the PS5 will have the same advantages, but arguably even faster because their SSD's faster. Is that right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Matt? Matt, you know this better than I do.
I don't know if SSD's faster. It's still like a PCIe 4.0 NVMe, but I think it's like more how that links in their system. But I think the drives are pretty much the same speed. But yeah, it will be fast for sure.
But, I mean, the crazy one here was Sea of Thieves, where it was like 1 minute, 21 seconds, and now it's down to 20 seconds, like loading.
Jesus.
I mean, that's massive.
Yeah.
Then they also showed off the quick resume, which seems to work fine, according to The Verge, with up to 5 games running at once. But some games don't support it. Like, so, for example, stuff like Sea of Thieves,
right?
Or that, which obviously, because they're live service games, aren't they? So there's no way that you could do that.
Yeah,
but
on online games, it's not going to let you jump straight back into an online game, is it? That's not going to work. But I was interested to see, I was watching the CNET one, and they said you can close the game, update it. Like, so if it's downloading an update, you can close the game, update it, reopen it, and it returns exactly where you left off.
Ooh, well, that's controversial because that's the thing.
That's what CNET said.
Okay.
No, trust me, Athene's already apologised. I got to shout out to Athene. You held your hands up, and I feel I don't feel like I've won. It's more of a friendly handshake than a victory lap. But no, I mean, that's what I think it was the CNET one said, and I was very surprised at that. If that's the case, then that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what happens if they're updating the very land that you're standing on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not convinced that will work, but yeah, okay.
The thing I thought sounded really good though was that if you can have like these 5 games or whatever suspended, and even if you like reboot, they still come back. It seems without having to, like be reloaded from scratch again, which is that's great. That's really good. Yeah. But
I'd love to know if Sony are doing the same thing.
We don't know anything about it, do we? We don't know anything about the PS5, which is insane. Like it's really close to it. We have no idea. But yeah. So the other thing that came out is that Microsoft released the pricing on everything for the expandable storage, which is like 220 quid. So
they're
if you want
little things, haven't they? They are cute little things. I ain't gonna lie. Little things that just pop in the back. They look great. 220 quid though. You having a laugh?
Yeah. So they're going to be 220 quid, and I mean, do you want to hear the reason why, or not? Because it's a long quote. And
I think we know it's new technology. I mean,
yeah, basically he's saying, we've got to do this.
And it's proprietary, so I'm not saying it's mindless profiteering, but they can sort of charge whatever they want, right?
Sure. They're partnering with an industry leader in Seagate for this. And they've worked together, to make an expandable storage solution which delivers identical performance at the lowest cost possible, and it's available this holiday.
Well, that's all right.
They could. Do you know they could have made that cost even lower? By letting more companies do it. Just don't stick to Seagate. Let other companies do it, and then we'll get cheaper ones, won't we?
And
they'll happen fucking quick. Get the consoles out next month.
I think like they said, they're going to look at other sizes and stuff. But in terms of like the price, obviously it's expensive because it's like brand new technology. But there was like people saying, okay, well here's his equivalent Samsung NVMe, and that was 230 quid, $230, whatever. So it is just going to be expensive generally. And this obviously has an enclosure. I mean, I didn't expect these things to be cheap. It's definitely more than I thought it would be. But I think even when it comes to like, okay, I'm going to increase the size of my storage, my PS5, it's going to cost the same amount of money with a variety of different manufacturers, creating their own NVMEs. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap. I really wanted to get one, but I think given it's 220 quid, I'm going to see how much the sort of moving of games becomes an issue on my current external drive.
Matt, honestly, you're making
I'll live
the
with
right
7 or 10
decision.
minutes.
You're making the right decision. You've got a 4 terabyte hard drive filled with Xbox games. Like, that is perfect. Honestly, right, okay, that's a lie. It's not perfect, obviously, but the 7 minutes it takes to transfer them, just boot up. Keep Tony Hawk on the main console, just boot up, have a couple of runs of Tony Hawk, and then you're ready to go on whatever game you want to play. It's perfect. Not perfect. I already said it's not perfect.
No,
I don't know what's going on tonight. Go on.
Okay, so
James.
Xbox are also launching a app for remote play on iOS.
Are they now?
Yeah, so this is basically the same as the PS4 one, and it allow you to stream Xbox One games directly to your phone, and also iPad, which is good. And this is the same app that was launched in beta on Android like a few days ago, and it will work with the Series, with the Series X and S, obviously. So that's good. I mean, we're not going to get like an nextcloud kind of thing anytime soon, but this is better than nothing.
Honestly, I've spoken about this before.
Maybe you'll be using it in the house anyway. So.
Well, that. Yeah. Generally, I've found the experience streaming straight from the console to be a lot better than actual xCloud stuff. I mean, obviously, your management may vary. It'll depend on loads of different factors, but I've preferred to just stream straight from the console, and that's on a OG Xbox One. So
I'll tell you what, I hope that they.
App.
That's what I was going to say. I hope that they just integrate this into the main app, because
I thought that's what they were doing.
It says it's
preparing to launch a new app.
Yeah.
Well, just integrate with a current one, surely. But
I just don't want the PlayStation situation where they've got like 4 or 5 apps, which you don't need that many. Everything could be just done in one. It'd be fine. But
Here's one thing I want from the new consoles that's just popped into my mind. Can they be harder to turn on, please? Because I know that through the 360 era, it was like, look, it's way easier to turn on now. You pick up the pad and press the button. Great. Now these days, fucking hell, I'm rifling through the drawers and my fucking PS4 turns on constantly. that fucking button on that pad does my nut in, Sean. It does my nut in. Whenever I hear that, beep, beep. Oh, for fuck's sake. What side is the power button again on that thing? It's just
at least you actually have to press a button to switch yours on, because my Xbox One switches itself on without me even doing anything.
Yeah, it doesn't work, James.
Not by design, mate, James. Yeah. It doesn't work. Go on. I love
CX
that.
will
When
never...
he turned around to you, Sean, I went, yeah, you've got an Xbox One now. Why, isn't it annoying that it keeps turning itself on? No, mine never does that, James.
Dave, I'm not the only person that has this problem. Seriously.
No, there are other people with broken Xboxes. You're correct. Go on.
Yeah, off you go. Isn't it annoying? When your Xbox goes on fire. Doesn't happen to mine.
Why did they design it like that, Matt?
Why is all the Xboxes on fire? That's
why put the fire in there in the first place?
Yours has got fire. Yours has got fire. Mine's got fire. We've all got.
Yeah, so I googled it, and there were 3 other people saying theirs was on fire as well.
He's obsessed with TV and fire.
God, James.
Maybe that's why you got let go.
Kept
saying fire to shit.
He was
fucking
Could you just please put those matches down, Don? We've been through this. Just put the matches down.
I'm doing a genie.
Just this one last Xbox. Where's it going? Canterbury. Okay, do that one last Xbox and then. God, James.
Sega have also announced a new Virtua Fighter project, but we don't know anything about it, hardly at all.
Cool.
They did this at a Tokyo Game Show stream, and they just sort of went Virtua Fighter project. No one has any clue what it is, like whether it's a new game or anything.
If that's coming back, then brilliant. That's my favourite beat 'em up of all time. The Virtua Fighter games are fucking fantastic.
Yeah, Virtua was one of the few I did like. I mean, basically the trailer they posted, it was loads of people who are like at sort of esports events, people playing fighting games, crowds, and at the end it had like a silhouette of someone from Virtua Fighter, and it had Virtua Fighter X esports. So
oh dear, this is going to be Sega really. Sega's going to release a tiny miniature Virtual Fighter arcade cabinet, aren't they? And charge you £75 for it, and you can't even fucking see the screen.
I mean, the speculation is that it could be like an online-enabled remake of one of the earlier games. Like it won't be anything new. It'll just be
this Sega.
Fighters Megamix 2. Let's go.
It's a naughty Sega. Go on.
Okay, so Life is Strange. There's a new team that's in Montreal that's been set up. So this is like key members of the Life is Strange team have now moved to Montreal, Canada to work on a new IP, which they've not said what it actually is yet. But they said this is where it's going. I mean, this is Michael Koch, he's the co-creator of it, has said, with the formation of a new team on another continent, we are writing a new page of Don't Not's history. It's also a new beginning for new characters and original stories that we hope will touch and inspire many players around the world. Each of our projects taught us more about our creative strengths and weaknesses, but at the end of the day, our community remains the best reflection of our craft. We want to keep progressing and offer our fans new interactive experiences, more inclusive, impactful, and filled with empathy. So it says the new outfit leaves behind 250 staff who are still going to be at the Paris headquarters, and the team that recently did Tell Me Why are sort of going to stay there, and others are going to be working on is it Twin Mirror? That's the one that's coming out in December, yeah. And so, regarding the future of Life is Strange, though, Don't Nod have said that they said the teams at Don't Nod and us are grateful to have had the chance of bringing Life is Strange games to life through stories we had deeply at heart and which have created such a dear community of players around the world. It doesn't mean we will not continue working on Life is Strange franchise in the future, but have also some exciting ideas we want to explore and that we hope will please all our Life is Strange community and fans. So it seems like this is obviously not going to be anything to do with that at all. And they're going to
I don't think they're doing more Life is Strange.
You don't think so?
Doesn't sound like
it doesn't sound like it, does it?
Alarm bells are ringing for Don't Nod. Does it feel to anyone else like they are very much going down the Telltale path? Anyone?
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyone? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Anyone at the back there?
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
They don't really strike me as a developer that's in a position to be branching out and setting up new studios. Like, you know, like name one massive hit they've had since the first Life is Strange. They had Vampire, which I don't know, didn't really set anyone's world on fire, did it? Life is Strange 2 we loved, but it wasn't huge.
Well, they must have made money out of it if they're opening studios. It must be somewhat successful.
Yeah.
My worry is
Microsoft money to Tell Me Why exclusivity on Game Pass. Maybe that doesn't.
They must have been handsomely rewarded for that, I guess.
My worry was Life is Strange come out, people loved it. Before the Storm come out, things started dying down. Life is Strange 2 come out, a very smaller percentage of people loved it. The Tell Me Why come out, very, very quiet on that front, I think. And now we've got this. They're coming out quicker, and Tell Me Why was very similar to Life is Strange games. This game coming out at the end of the year, if that's a lot like a Life is Strange game, then you're kind of thinking, wow, they really are doing the Telltale thing, aren't they? They've got their formula and they're spreading it, and they really need to do something not different, but fresh with it. They need to freshen that up, I think.
But also, I mean, before the Storm wasn't Don't Nod, was it? It was Deck 9.
No, it wasn't.
That's right.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah,
that's the other speculation is that because we don't even know who owns like Life is Strange as a franchise.
Square do.
So if they do, maybe they'll pass that on to another developer, like they did with Before the Storm.
Possibly. That would be sad though, because you do know that they are good with that series. They know what they're doing, even if it's slightly underappreciated.
But then equally, we've seen with Tell Me Why that all right, we had issues with it, but I think they've shown they can still do that thing without it being called Life is Strange.
Yeah, but that thing wasn't that great.
No, but I still, even despite that, I still really want these kind of games to exist and to
100%. 100%. But where do you go from here?
I'm also quite thankful for a break. I think. Yeah. If they said Life is Strange 3, if they now say now, we'll be like, oh no, I want.
Yeah, same here. So would I.
I want you to have more of a space, and I want me to have more space between them. I just think, give us a year. We'll be really excited for the next one, rather than just here's another one. And we're like, okay, we know. I can see the trailer already. I can hear the music.
Yeah.
I want to have a bit of a break and see what makes them work.
we'll know if this is going to end sort of badly if they start doing like tie-ins with other things. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, we're doing a Game of Thrones game," yeah, and all that kind of thing. Yeah, we're doing
yeah, that'll be dangerous.
Yeah,
so we got the RoboCop license. You know, they're going to.
I mean, maybe.
I've got to say, I mean, you're joking, but I'd play that. Yeah.
Maybe we will get our Hello game finally. Yeah. Maybe that'll finally happen. Can I just say, did we not mention that in the last podcast, the amount of feedback we got about getting the name of the painting wrong?
Oh my God, no, we haven't even talked about that last week.
I can't believe it. We got hammered throughout the week about...
You're saying we. You're saying we, Dave.
Me, sorry. I got hammered throughout the week for saying it was... You didn't correct me for saying...
No, to be fair. No.
It was the... What did I say? I said it was the Mona Lisa with the big boobies.
With the big boobies.
But it wasn't.
Boobies, yeah.
It was the full Madonna with the big boobies. I was wrong. I also did say on the show that I never liked the show. So don't blame me. It's going through my crap memory. Sorry, how do we get onto hello? Right, like...
I don't know, but it keeps happening, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does. All roads lead to hello. Come on then, James.
Yeah, last story.
Do you like that? That was a Discworld reference. Did you know that? That was a Discworld reference.
Fucking hell.
Ankh-Morpork. The old town that I'm blowing people's minds now, Sean.
I was going to say, that's a hell of a curveball from Dave, that is. Fuck me.
All roads lead to it, mate.
Yeah.
All roads lead to it. Go on, James.
Okay, so last story. There's a live-action Yakuza movie in the works.
Hey.
Yeah, so Sega are partnering with 1212 Entertainment, and they're going to be making a film based on the Yakuza franchise.
Is this one of those, like, oh, we're going to do it, and then we won't hear anything for 10 years, and then we'll find out it's been cancelled, or is this actually looking like a...
Well, you say that, Sean.
Going by who's involved, like...
You say that. I mean, do you want me to read you the quote? Because I think you'll have your answer. Yakuza offers a new playground in which to set compelling stories with complex characters in a unique environment that audiences have rarely seen before. That is a crazy quote.
There's not been any Yakuza films before.
None of those.
Yeah.
The saga of Kazuma Kiryu has a built-in cinematic appeal, a mix of kinetic action with bursts of comedy, multiple converging storylines, and a gripping journey towards redemption. And I think you got your answer there. I mean,
basically the whole plot, mate.
They have no idea what they're doing with this at all. They're just
it. They know what they're doing with it. They're pitching it. They're hoping that someone goes, "Oh yeah, no, it has got a compelling storyline with it." No, it sounds like they're pitching it.
Yeah, James, the last line of that that piece says that there was a 2007 movie.
There was Yakuza Like a Dragon came out. I don't know anything about that though. I've never. Apparently it says it was loosely based on the original game. So
I'm thinking we should do a film club and we should all watch that.
Yeah.
We're watching that. Surely that's happening.
I'd be up for watching that.
Definitely. Is it free on any streaming services?
I mean, I said it at the time, and I genuinely believe this. You watch the start of the Sonic movie, and you watch the Sega Entertainment logo come up with all the screens behind it with their various different properties they own. I was sitting there thinking, shit, they're gonna try and do more of this. They're gonna try and bring a lot of films out. And when I saw this, I just thought, yep, as Sega, this is the direction they're going. Like, I genuinely, at the start of that Sonic movie, I thought it would go Sega at the start and that's it. But it didn't. It showed all those properties and then said Sega Entertainment. And I went, oh, they're not, are they? Are they going to do that, are they? Do they think they're going to be the new Marvel? Are we going to get a Sonic and Knuckles? Is that where we're going?
Just briefly, semi-related, the Dragon's Dogma anime came out on Netflix last week. I managed about 1.5 episodes. It's not good. I mean, it's not like offensive. I'm not sitting there going, no, that's not accurate to the game. No. Like it's got all the things you know from the game in it. It's just boring. I just don't understand why they made it.
Have you seen the Animal Crossing film, James?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh my god.
Is it good?
There's so much we want to do with you. It's unbelievable.
Jesus Christ.
It's true.
Wow.
You've got to watch the Animal Crossing film for sure.
I've just been looking up this Yakuza one that's like 2007. It's only if there was a US import of it, I'm not paying £20 though. Not for a Blu-ray.
Unbelievable. Okay. All
Sorry,
right.
Animal Crossing movie? What?
Yeah, it's an Animal Crossing movie. It's like an anime thing. I think it's about an hour and a half long. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what James thinks of that.
Yeah, I'll watch it. See how it goes.
Of course
you say it as if there's some like mad twist. You're saying it like there's something sinister about it. Like,
no,
can't wait to see
not.
what he makes of that when Tom Nook gets a knife out and starts slashing people up.
Yeah. Is that why James said I'll watch it? Is Isabel in it? Is Isabel in it? No, James, calm down. It's not that sort of film. Any more news, James?
And that's it. That's all I've got this week.
Cool. And we should get on to what we've been playing. And should we start with the big one? The big one. Hades come out on Switch. And so I'm sitting down, just, minding my own business. And I get a text message from John saying, Dave, play Hades. I was like, what? So you got to play Hades. You got to play Hades. And I was like, okay, all right, let me have a look. Roguelike, oh God.
That's
Greek
exactly
gods,
my reaction.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's gonna? Oh, RPG. Oh, good. This looks right up my street. But when John raves at me about a game, he's very rarely wrong when he recommends a game to me. So I checked it out. I thought, why hasn't Sean spoken about this?
Can we just mention that? I have spoken about it, Dave, but it's good to know that everything I recommend has to be fucking co-signed by John Denton before you check it out. But go on.
Okay. Sean, I will say this. You recommend a lot of indie games to me, and 90% of them, you look at them and go, do you know what? They're probably brilliant, right? Yeah. I'm not saying you've got bad taste. I'm not saying you've got bad taste. What I'm saying is that the games
what you're saying is if John Denton backs me up, you'll check it out. Okay, go on.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So there's a tier system.
Just to be clear, John, if you're listening, nothing against you. This is just me and Dave.
This is a private matter. Anyway, I downloaded it, and at first I was like, oh my God, the action's really good, isn't it? Yeah, this is good fun to play, but there's all this stuff. There's all these systems in play. I don't understand any of it. I think by the end of that day, I was fully locked in that this might be a 10 out of 10 for me. So it's a roguelike. You play as... Now you're going to have to help me out here, Sean. You play
Zagreus.
And I'm pointing at you, Zagreus, son of Hades. And the idea is that you are trapped in hell, and you've decided that you're going to leave your father's home, Hades' home, and escape hell to the surface, right? That's the idea. And between runs, as you call it, as you roguelike people call it, and between runs, you get these opportunities to talk to various different characters around the house. Some of them can give you information. Some of them are loosely around the sort of, it feels to me, a very loose plot at the moment. There are beats and stuff, but it's not like a progressive plot as you would usually experience it, right? You sort of slowly discover bits about characters and then put them together. Is that right, Sean?
Yeah.
But I really, what struck me straight away is A, the voice acting, B, the writing. I thought the attitude that it had, the tone of it all, just felt fantastic. I didn't expect to see Hades tell him I was going to try and escape, and Hades turn around and go for it, mate. You ain't gonna. No, seriously, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Like, why are you going out the door? And then every time you die, you wake up in a pool of blood inside the house. You walk out right in front of Hades again and go, "You right, Dad? You dead again, are you? Yeah, great." And it's not that comical. Like, there is a little bit more like Hades is a lot more aggressive than that. But that's kind of the idea. And then I found myself becoming attached to certain characters and making sure I went and spoke to them, and then that sort of merges with the gameplay parts of it. So during your run, you meet various different gods, and they can give you power-ups, and you accept them, but you also talk to them at the same time, and you can offer them gifts, and that changes things slightly. And then I just started pushing on and repeatedly. Like, I've never liked roguelites. Like, one's never properly clicked with me. I've never really fallen in love with one. I've appreciated them. I played Spelunky for a while. I quite enjoyed it. I could see why people would get obsessed with it. It wasn't really for me. I really liked Tumbleseed when the Switch launched. But eventually I got a bit tired of doing the same shit over and over again. But what I found with this, and this might be in other games, right? I'm not saying it's unique to this game, but for me, every run felt like it was mixing something up, or it was surprising you in some way, or you would have a run where all of a sudden all of your power-ups combine to make you insanely overpowered. And you just thought, oh my God, I get it now. I get it. And when you couple that with it's amazing visually. I'm playing on the Switch. I've got a few negative comments about that, but we'll get to that later. But visually, I think it looks stunning. The voice acting, the writing, superb. The music is unbelievable. And actually playing the thing, it just feels so fun to play. Like, it's so simple. It kind of feels like a light version of Bayonetta, but then maybe I'm giving Bayonetta too much credit. Bayonetta was very much a combos-based thing. This isn't. But Bayonetta doesn't have those weird power-ups that seem to make you completely think about where you want to put all your powers. You know, do you want to put it in the special attacks or the dash or the standard attacks or the casting, stuff like that? It's, man, wow, this come out of nowhere for me, and I completely understand.
Did it, Dave? Did it come out of nowhere?
Look, Sean, your white noise. It comes out of nowhere for me because, look, if you'd have turned around to me and said, there's a roguelike game on the PC where you play as a Greek, son of a Greek god, and you're trying to escape hell, I'm switched off already. Like, I just am. You know what I mean?
Unless John Denton says it. Yeah, go on.
Did you? Yes, John Denton tells me when. Okay, all right.
John, can you play Jet Lancer and then tell Dave it's good, please? Because he'll like that as well. But obviously, doesn't count if I tell him so.
I guarantee John won't play it unless someone else recommends it to him.
I think John Denton Outer Wilds is incredible.
Unless I recommend it to him.
A bit weird.
Right. But what I'm saying is that this game has been out for 2 years in early access on PC.
Has it been 2 years? Yeah, it's been a while.
Apparently it's been 2 years. So people have been playing this for a while. Getting to play it in this final release state on the Switch has just been a fucking punch to the face. Like, man, it feels so complete and so well worked out that I can totally understand why this has been in early access for 2 years. And to join at this point of the project's life is like, wow, holy shit. This feels so refined and so fun to play that I've been blown away by it. I haven't stopped playing it since I downloaded it. It's been, it's been a real eye opener. I will say this: playing on the Switch is a little bit disappointing in two regards. The first would be when you're playing it on a TV, you can really tell that it's not hitting anywhere near the resolution it should be.
I'm glad you said that because I noticed it, but I was like, am I being a snob because I'm used to the PC version? No. But yeah, it's being upscaled a little bit, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It looks not rough. It still looks great, totally playable, but it is like, man, I want to see this crisp. I really want to see
because
this
it's so because the art style is so much like those sort of those really sort of deep blacks like outlining everything. It really benefits from that extra bit of crispness. Also, so it is kind of a shame, but yeah.
The further you get into it, so I am like 25 runs in at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And the further you get into it, the more shit is going on, right? The more you build up your character, the more different sort of mods on your character work in different ways, more enemies, more things flying at you. I've started to notice it struggling in handheld mode.
Yes.
So frame dropping and stuff. And I just kind of think, man, I need this. Like, I've enjoyed being able to play this away from the main television, but now I'm ready for an Xbox version that has cross save where I can just pick it up on there and just play it in like 4K, no frame dropping. That's where I'm at with this game. So,
well, and this is the other thing is that so they announced it was launching. It was going to, they said it was going to come to the Switch and it was going to have cross save, and it doesn't yet. Which fine if they've had trouble implementing it or whatever. I understand it's not a huge priority, for most people. But yeah, as someone who's been playing it on the PC, I was really excited about it having cross-save. As it happens, I've just started again on the Switch and had a brilliant time catching up to where I was on the PC anyway. So yeah, it's not really been an issue.
I can't imagine starting this again. I'd feel so frustrated and limited.
I mean, I suppose it's been like quite a few months since I played the PC one. Maybe if I was, playing it, if I was playing it last week, I'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake. But as is, and obviously because it's been continually developed, I'm seeing like new stuff from the beginning, pretty much. Just, I mean, nothing major, but just obviously there's tons of balance tweaks, so it's made that sort of onboarding process a bit smoother. And like loads of the characters like didn't have like proper artwork and stuff. They just had like placeholder images and stuff. So it's like, oh shit, that's what Nyx looks like, or whatever. So yeah, no, it's been a joy replaying it from the start. I'm quite happy to have done that, to be honest. But yeah, it's fucking brilliant, isn't it? It's, as you say, it's those. Like, it's, in a roguelike where it's like a card game or whatever, finding those synergies between abilities is really fun. But when that stuff translates into a fucking cool action game where... So, for example, if you're listening to this and you've no idea what we're talking about, so I did a run today where I had this weapon called the Aegis, which is a shield, which you can use to block, but you very rarely will. You can basically just bash the shit out of everyone with it, and you can also throw it around and it bounces between enemies. Obviously, but when you throw it, you can't hit with it until it returns to you, obviously. But then I got... so Poseidon, god of the sea, gave me an ability so that every time I dashed, it created like a big shockwave of water which damaged enemies and pushed them away. I then got an ability from Hermes, messenger of the gods, that gave me 2 additional dashes, and then I got another power up. I forget who from, but basically it added like another, it's like extra damage and a special effect to when I threw the shield, which then meant rather than dashing around hitting everything, I could also consider the possibility of throwing the shield for enemies that were far away, and then just dashing around enemies that were close to me, and that became like that was a really cool way of being able to fight with that weapon. It made me rethink how to use it, and stuff like that just happens like all the time.
Yeah,
it's great.
My favorite ability so far is the if you're using the sword. I don't know if it's just for the sword, but if you hit someone, you get +2 health back, but it reduces your health to a third of what you usually have. Like your maximum health down to a third.
Yes.
I got that on my 3rd run and got through to the 3rd area, half like the midway boss in the 3rd area. So I sort of sent a text to John saying, I've just had my 3rd run, I got halfway through the 3rd area. He was like, that's further than I've been. I was like, what? but since then, I've realised how weird that was that I got that far on my 3rd run, because after that it took me ages to get back to that 3rd area. But yeah, that ability was unbelievable. You can, especially when you combine it with other mods and stuff, and you're just like, oh my god, I can eat. Like, if you can, there's a mod that lets you swipe your sword twice as fast, so you get 2 hits in where you normally get 1. And of course, if every hit is giving you +2 health, there are some enemies, but that you don't care about getting hit. You could just stand and fucking tank them like until they're dead. It's unbelievable. But
it's
yeah,
the Bayonetta comparison. I do see what you mean, because there's a lot of like dodge cancelling in this. So you can, normally say you've got your sword, you press attack, you hit with it, and then there's like a slight recovery time. So if you're just mashing the attack button, it'll take, a given amount of time between hits. Whereas if you're attacking, then dashing, then attacking, then dashing, then it's actually a little bit quicker. And Bayonetta was a lot like that as well. And it was all about like you'd throw an attack, and then the second it hit, you'd be dodging out of it and trying something else. And so it's got a very similar rhythm to it.
Yeah, like the boss, the Hydra boss.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler, is it? It's probably not a spoiler. No. The Hydra boss. I mean, the way that you dash around that boss, like once you get used to it, is just like you're barely standing in front of an enemy for more than half a second before you're dashing onto another one. Even though you're not killing them, you just like take a bit off there, bit off there, bit off there, bit off there. Because if I stand here, I'm screwed. So just dash. It's great. And some of the characters, Sean, are just so good. Skelly is just beyond good. did you say again? I'm terrible with names, but Nix, your mum, Nix, yeah. Wonderful character. Every time I meet her, I love talking to her. The guy that's just outside the pool when you respawn is just hilarious. There's stuff like that.
Fuck, what is his name? Hypnos.
Yeah. There's so much stuff with that character that I would love to talk to you about that I can't because it would spoil it. You know what I mean? And for for a reg like that's got to be a rarity.
It is, and that's what's really special about this. Is it's a roguelike where you don't really mind dying because you're just like, oh, good, back home and see what everyone's up to. Get more dialogue, and it's not just I can improve my abilities. It's I can have a chat to people, learn more about them. And it's just, it's that growing of the relationships as well as your character,
When it says, you can rest now, you go, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. Right, so speaking of recommendations, I was very nervous about recommending this to James.
James was not keen on the idea.
No, I loved it, right? I loved it. And I wanted James to love it, but you have reservations about games like this, don't you, James?
I do, because I'm also not a huge fan of roguelikes at all. In fact, I came to the conclusion, quite recently that I just don't like them, really.
Yeah, well, this is it, because I said to John, when we were talking about recommending it to you, I said to John, the thing is with James, he's got two main passions when it comes to games, in my opinion. One is narrative, the other is exploration. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. Yeah.
They're like your top two priorities. Now, exploration, even with this game, it's not a game that you explore, is it? It's not a game that you can go down a little path and then find a new area. And, there's none of that in this. So that's what was made. Now, I knew the narrative was good, but it's very drawn out. Like, there are, a run today took me 45 minutes, right? And I just thought that without any real narrative exploration, is that gonna turn James off? So I bit the bullet and I said, James, you should play it. So you got it on Switch. What are your thoughts?
See, also, when I first started playing this, it to me it did feel a lot like Dead Cells, to begin with, and I'm sure that other people have obviously made that comparison. And I was a bit worried at that point because whilst I liked Dead Cells, I didn't love it at all, really. Mostly because it felt very repetitive to me and it didn't feel like the roguelike sort of style of it really worked like that well. And
that is, that's a roguelike where you collect things that affect future runs, but it's just more stuff that you might randomly find later on. You always start back at square one, don't you? 100 completely, which is really frustrating.
And that's the thing I really dislike the most about it. I didn't feel I know that you could progress in that in the terms of making yourself stronger, but it just felt like such a slog to do that I just didn't care enough to really want to do it. This I feel completely differently about because I love it as well. I think it's fantastic.
Yes, mate.
And the reason I love it so much is, the combat is so good. And it's like every run that I go through, I'm eager. Now, I'd rather be playing it right now, honestly. I was playing it before we started recording, and I was just thinking, I'd just like to keep playing this for a bit longer. Because like David said, every time that I die in this, I never feel that disappointed, actually. Because I just feel I can easily do another one of these runs, because each time, because the combat is so good, you never feel it does feel different every time to me, especially because of the how you can change up which weapons you're using. And I know, Dave, you've been focusing on the sword. That's been your main
100%,
sort of thing that you've been working on.
It.
And I really do like the fact that the other weapons do offer really quite different methods of play, really quite different. And
which can then sort of diversify again depending on what
you get the blood
pick up as you go,
and
yeah.
And that's what's happened to me because it's the Titan's blood, isn't it? And because there was that point during the week, Dave, when you text me and you just said, "Do you know what the Titan's blood does?" And I was like, "Nope, no idea at all." And actually, just after you said that, it kind of unlocked that bit, for me to. And I was like,
it took me a long time because I didn't bother unlocking weapons.
Yeah,
so it took me a long time to find that.
And I really have found myself preferring some weapons over others, and it feels like you can really sort of customise like each run to a degree, depending on what sort of style of play you want to do, depending on the weapon. And I really like that, and the way that it then combines with this sort of like massive sort of tech tree that you sort of go through as you're going through like sort of each making choices at the end of each stage as to which sort of thing you want to sort of focus on. I've settled on the bow, and I really like it a lot. Because it's
okay.
Yeah, which I know is quite different to like playing with with sword or whatever like that. Because I said to Dave, it's like Alan Partridge and move and fire and move and fire, that kind of thing. And it's like I've absolutely been doing that.
Because I got like
get back in the lift. And
it's
all that.
funny you should say that because I told you at the time that I tried it once and hated it. But then after you told me you were maining the bow, I was like, I'll give that a go then. And then I found out what the special does, and I was like, holy shit, this is really good.
Yeah, the special is brilliant because especially once you start to like get upgrades for that as well. Like the one I've got is where you target somebody with one arrow, and then that automatically means that your like the burst one will home in on that target. So you don't even have to be sort of near it really, which is pretty cool. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm really enjoying the way that each run does seem to matter like quite a lot in that I get something from that which I can then contribute to upgrading my character and making myself stronger for the next run. But it's purely just because each one is. I mean, I've got so far as Elysium. I got that far.
Oh god, the music in that area is so good.
Yeah,
honestly, the soundtrack in this is just unbelievably good. And after you have a massive row, a massive fight. And then it just reduces to the baseline. It's like, oh my god, they know what they're doing.
And it does that thing of like when you're playing it, like if you're in an area and it sounds like it's sort of orchestral fantasy stuff. There's Greek instruments. There's like a bouzouki in there and stuff. But then you press the start button, you go to the pause menu, and it's like there's a metal concert happening in the next building over.
Yeah.
It has that sort of muffle, and it's just the bass line. It's just like dun 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 dun, and you're just like fuck me. And then you unpause it, get into the fight, and it just goes nuts. Like I've always been a bit. Cause Darren Corby's always done the soundtracks for Supergiant's games, and everyone's always raved about them. I've never been as wild about them as everyone else seems to be, but. He pulls double duties on this because he also voices the main character and does a brilliant job of it.
See, and that's the other thing that I was saying to Dave that I really enjoy about it is the voice acting in this is brilliant. Like it's so, I don't want to say the word endearing, but it is.
Oh, it is.
It's it's like I love listening to them, like having conversations and talking about
for sure. Absolutely.
It's so good. It's so good. Like it, especially the main character. It feels so sort of like understated, but in like
it's funny
the
what we
perfect sort of way.
What we said was that they seem to nail how to use the word mate, right? Which can't be easy for Americans. But the voice actor doesn't quite nail the saying of it. But it's not a problem. It's quite endearing, actually.
Totally.
I'll get there, mate. And I'm kind of like, that's not how we would say it, but okay, fair enough, carry on.
And it's just little touches like... So when you first... so as you're going through, a run, you find these, like, messages from the gods. Or it's sort of... It's not really clear, is it, if it's like you can have a conversation or if it's literally just like a sort of a message that you just receive and then you hear it and then that's that. But point is... Like if you see the first time you see a message from Aphrodite, who's goddess of love and beauty, and is always depicted as a sexy woman, and as soon as he sees it's a message from Aphrodite, he's just like, right, okay, how do I look? Like, and it's just a nice touch. Like it could have just been,
I think the greatest way of summing that up is that the game is completely self-aware throughout. The characters are very, very self-aware, and that level of self-awareness is very strange. Like, examples are you meet a boss, and he's wearing a different colour hat or something, and you think, that's weird, he's got a different hat on. And then the character goes, changed up your look, did you? And you're like, okay, fine. Or you'll go into an area and he'll go, right, better face, whoever. And then you walk in and it's not them. And they go, okay, maybe not then. And it's like, it's constantly, or they talk about previous battles they had, or even
it acknowledges previous runs, and some of the bosses, no spoilers, but some of the bosses change up because it becomes clear to Hades that some of the bosses aren't doing the fucking job.
I got that just before we were playing, and I was like, oh wow. I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
And the way Zagreus interacts with the narrator as well. I've not played far enough to know who the narrator is, but it's certainly implied they're a character, and Zagreus can hear them. And again, it's just, you'll be like about to go to a boss room, and and the narrator will sort of kick in with like the Prince of the Underworld braced himself to face the foul hellspawn, and he'll just be like, thanks, mate. Just sort of acknowledge it in this like, okay, dude, whatever way, and it works. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, like there's a bit where you're supposed to be quiet, and the narrator comes in, and he's like, "Can you just shut up?"
Yeah. And like, again, I won't be specific, but there's a bit where the narrator just gives away a big plot point, and Zagreus is like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And the narrator sort of goes like, "Yeah, he just found that out by himself by coincidence."
See, there's something I would like to know about it, but I don't know if I can. I probably can't talk about it because it may spoil stuff.
What was that? How far into it are you, James? Like, how many runs have you made?
I don't know, probably about 25, 30.
You've not got the bowl in the bedroom yet, then?
Oh, I've got that. Yeah, I've got the bowl in the bedroom.
Exactly
pool.
But the thing, the mirror. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I'm so far into this game. It feels like I'm so far into this game. I've only done 25 to 30 runs, probably about the same, James. But it feels like I'm really far into it, and it's still introducing stuff that you would never have thought of. What it does with the messages from the gods at the point that I'm at now blew my mind, and just made me go, holy fuck, okay. All right. I think we've waxed lyrical about it enough. We should probably move on before we start repeating ourselves. But, if you saw this game and thought, I'm not really into roguelikes, I would still say give it a go. Because,
definitely.
Yeah.
My word, it doesn't feel like one to me. It feels like an action game that's taken those elements and nailed them.
And if it's like, if you're not into fancy stuff or Greek mythology, I really don't think that matters. It's full of stuff.
It matters, no.
Yeah, like it's full of stuff that if you are, you'd be like, oh fuck, that's Orpheus. I wonder if Eurydice. Oh, she is in it. Fucking hell, that's amazing. And that becomes a little story. Which, if you know the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, it's cool.
Depiction of Medusa, one of the best you've ever seen in anything.
Oh god, yeah, fucking mint. This is the best.
See, I've also been playing this mostly docked, like on Switch, and I found it's been okay, actually. I've not felt disappointed with it. Although, especially toward, it gets really manic, doesn't it? Like, at some points, and then, it does start to sort of drop a lot of frames as you're doing that.
A good job of being readable throughout, though, doesn't it? Even when there's tons of stuff going on, it's all, enemies' attacks are all really well telegraphed and stuff. It's never just like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
what's so cool about that, though, is when it's just like utter chaos going on, and then you just go in there and you just do, what you do, and it's like you get out without a scratch on you.
Yeah,
and it's just, that's amazing when that happens. It's just like that was perfect.
Which again, sometimes he'll say like, not a scratch or whatever. Like he'll acknowledge it, and it's like, yeah, fuck yes.
It's very good. It really is.
Play that game. That game. It's unbelievable. And the other games I've been playing this week, I finished Mario 64. By finished, I mean I got to, by the end of it, I loved it. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I was so frustrated with it last week, but I must admit, by the end of it, I loved it, and I'm probably gonna go back and get the full stars.
Can I ask you about one thing? How was TikTok clocked this now? Like, how is that?
Get any stars in that one, baby? Okay. I went in there once and just went, "No, you're all right." So I got all my 70 stars from other places. But yeah, I'm sure it's a nightmare. I did start Mario Galaxy. And it's funny, I was really disappointed with it for a very long time. And I saw a thread on Rollmuck, and someone on there said, oh yeah, don't worry about Galaxy having a very slow start. It is a very slow burn, that game. Because I was like, this isn't a Mario game. This doesn't feel what I love about Mario. Like, Mario, you go exploring and finding little things, but here they're all individual tiny planets where there's nowhere to look. Like, there's no little caves that you can walk into and find a hidden secret or anything. There's none of that. And then I got to the bowl. It's like a ocean in a bowl where it's got a load of penguins swimming around it. And I thought, okay, this feels more like Mario. So hopefully it goes in that direction more, and the planets get bigger and there's more, I don't know, little surprises here and there. Because right now it's been really straightforward, but I've been enjoying it. It's just I've played a lot of Mario Odyssey last year and the year before, and I'm kind of like, I can see why this is the best of the 3D Mario games for sure. But yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's the Mario games, isn't it? If you like them, buy that.
Yeah, I used to love the feeling of like the gravity on each of the planets and stuff. I felt at the time that felt amazing.
Yeah, it feels amazing, but there are moments where the control stick just does not know what to do, and you're holding in one direction, and Mario's just running around in circles because it's trying to fight with the gravity and the camera at the same time. And I'm kind of like, fuck, man, this feels really odd. But yeah, no, I mean, I'll crack on with it. I'm in the third sort of group of levels. So I'd be interested to see if they expand on the actual levels themselves. If they get bigger, then yeah, I'll be all over that. But yeah, no, not a bad game. The final game I played a few games of Among Us last night, and I'm sure guys know what Among Us is.
Yeah,
I don't know what this is. What is it?
Have you played it, Matt?
No, I haven't. I've had it downloaded on iOS for ages, and I kind of wanted us all to get a game, but it's like, no, I haven't played it yet. No.
Yeah, we'll sort something out. We'll do a stream of it. It's basically the idea is, James, is that there's a bunch of people on a spaceship. You've all got little jobs to do, or you haven't necessarily. You're just walking about, and all of a sudden something will happen. You have to go to a place and mend the ship in a certain time limit. But at the same time, one of you, or you can change it so there's more than one of you, but one of you is a killer, and your job is to go around like destroying the ship and murdering them, the other crewmates. And then at any point, someone can hold a meeting and say, do you know what? We had to go and fix that part of the ship, but I saw the blue character walking in the opposite direction. I think he might be the killer. Like, I think he's actively walking away from situations to try and find people on their own and stuff. And then you vote and you can chuck them off the ship. And as they get chucked off the ship, it tells you if they are the killer or not.
Sounds
and that's
brilliant.
it, basically. Pretty straightforward, but it seems like a lot of fun. The only problem is, when you play with randoms, you launch the game and then someone holds a meeting. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what is the point? What is the point? I think it's pink. Brilliant. Can we just play the game? Like, why are you holding the meeting now? So it's very much a game that we're kind of like, yeah, actually, if we just all did this with mates, this would be really good fun. But playing with randoms is probably not the way to go.
I think it is cross-platform PC and iOS and Android.
That's right.
Is it?
So I was playing on iOS, and it was fine because all you're doing is pressing a button and moving a fake stick about. So yeah, I mean, even if we just linked up on our phones, that would be fine. But yeah, should we do a stream of that? I think we should do a stream of that.
We should. Yeah. We should. Definitely.
We should. John's been dying to get a group of people together, so maybe you should join us. But yeah, we'll sort that out.
It's coming to Switch as well, it seems.
Oh, nice. Is it really? Oh, nice.
I think
it's free on iOS. It's free on iOS with adverts. So
it's a really interesting one because it's been around for ages, but it's just suddenly seen a huge
it's 2 years.
increase.
It had
it's just
next to nothing, and then suddenly blew up on Twitch. And this has basically been like the massive thing on Twitch since Fall Guys calmed down.
Yeah, and it's just interesting because the devs were like starting work on Among Us 2.
Yeah.
And now they've just been like, oh, well, no, fuck that. We'll just add stuff to the first game. Yeah.
No, it's not coming to Switch. I've jumped the gun with that.
God.
What do you mean you jumped the gun?
Well, I Googled it to have a look, and somebody just said, just forget it. It's not coming up.
No. How did you jump the gun?
What do you mean? I'd
saying something before checking if it was true.
That's not jumping the gun.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Because you'd need a gun to begin with. James doesn't have a gun. It's no gun to jump. He's just raised his arms and gone.
Go on, James.
So anyway, I Googled it, and then you know how when you Google something, it comes up with videos? The first video was a Nintendo-like looking video that had Among Us on Nintendo Switch. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's been recent. And it had 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, maybe it's been announced. But yeah,
brilliant. Our newsman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
I did
they
correct
have
it.
said they want to bring it to more platforms, but
I mean, yeah, mad not to. It's money on the table, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an amazing story. It's just blown up from just people on Twitch and YouTubers starting it, and then just Ninja and all them lot were streaming it, and it just blew up massively.
Cool. All right, that's all I've been playing. James, it looks like all you've been playing is Hades.
Yeah, that was it.
Matt, let's go to you. What you got for us?
So I got back into Death Stranding.
Which is good. I'm glad.
I saw Limmy was streaming it like a few weeks ago, and I hadn't actually. I've been so busy, I haven't really watched any of his streams. But I knew he was streaming. I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of want an experience just to like jump into something.
I knew that must have been a reason. I knew it couldn't have been, hey, I really want to play that game, or I love Kojima, I'll play that. I knew there had to be some sort of influencer involved, or a Twitch guy involved.
I'm not the only one, actually. Like, the amount of people I've said, I've seen on Twitter saying I'm playing it because of Limmy. But I thought at the time I was enjoying it, but I stopped because I think it was October, November time or whatever. Things got busy, and then I heard Giant Bomb destroy it on the Game of the Year show, and I was like, that just sounds. I can't be bothered with that, so I stopped, and I just got to the start of. They're called Chapter 3. They're called episodes, but Episode 3, which is meant to be the longest chapter. And again, on this Giant Bomb Game of the Year thing, they just destroyed it. I'm like, I have no interest now. Like, you just killed my love for that game. But I got back to it, and that's basically all I've played for the last like 2.5 or so weeks. And I finished it on the weekend, and I think my game clocking in is like 60 hours. So I mean, so I went back to my save, and I put 13 hours in. I got to the start of Episode 3, and I put like another my maths, like 47 or so hours into it in the last like 3 weeks, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It's great, isn't it?
There's a lot of things wrong with it. It's incredibly long. I'd say probably overly long. The story's quite ridiculous, but I just love the gameplay loop of doing these deliveries, even when I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the worst thing ever when you've got like a massive delivery and you drop this," or one point where you go to one end of the of United Cities of America, and then they send you all the way back to the other side. It could take 2 hours. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I absolutely love that, and I absolutely know why some people think, fuck this bullshit. This is the worst thing ever. It's just pure Kojima, just nonsense. But I absolutely love the core loop of delivering the parcels. I love being in that sort of it felt kind of Nordic environment with the huge mountains and rivers and all these things to climb. I'd got the measure of how to deal with the enemies. So you have these enemies called BTs. You can't really see them until you sort of go through them, and then like it goes slow motion, and your like sensor on your suit starts going mad, and then eventually you get they can appear and drag you into this like oil stuff. But I got a measure of that, basically just like, jumping out of the oil, you don't have to really deal with them as much. There's these huge, massive boss versions of them if you get if you get pulled under the surface. Again, I didn't have to fight every single one of them and struggle, because there is a mechanic whereby you see the radius of where the boss could attack, and basically just like keep running out of that area, and the boss disappears. So those early frustrating bits, which kind of annoyed me, and especially when I was in the middle of a massive journey, I'd worked out what they were about, and I'm just so glad I went back to it and fell in love with it and finished it. I thought the story was, it's pure Kojima, and there's lots of exposition. Is that the word? What's the word where they have to describe everything in minute detail just for the idiots.
Dump story on you for yeah.
Is that no? What's that called?
Exposition. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of that, especially at the end. So what you're saying is, but I didn't mind it, and I really think that there are very, very few experiences like this. Generally, just combining like the amount of money they put into it, the quality of the graphics are still stunning now, like the animation. All that stuff, like there are very few examples. Obviously, there are games like Last of Us 2, obviously most recently, things like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Uncharted, those. And I think this is definitely in that sort of that sort of league. Really, it just looks absolutely stunning. It was a joy to be part of this experience, to play through it. And
I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Just the trick here is don't listen to Giant Bomb. When it comes, honestly, I've been getting increasingly frustrated with those guys. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I don't know, it seemed like you were really into it, and then you were suddenly not into it, and I
can't remember when it came out. I think I probably just dropped it anyway because I was playing something else at a time, or I'm not sure if it came out like towards the end of the year.
It's because at that time, like, loads of things all came out at the same time, and there was like because Star Wars came out as well at the same time.
Yeah,
and I think it was one of those things where it was like, okay, I'm going to drop this to go and play that now, and then it's like go back to it and all that kind of thing.
Because I think at the time I was like, okay, I'll come back to this. This will be my Christmas game, and then over Christmas I listened to that Giant Bomb thing. I was like, okay, well, that's not happening.
So how does the social stuff work in that? Because that was a huge part of that game. Like, how is it still littered with bridges built by other people and all that sort of stuff?
It is, but they do a thing whereby they say over time these things will degrade because of the rain called Timefall. So it's not like
that's right.
Because I've gone in there.
The worry was that no one would be playing it at this like time, so it'd be really sparse. But is that not the case?
No. I mean, actually, I think the rumours are both. It could be really empty, or it could be the total opposite, whereby if you go in and play it like months or a year later, there's just roads everywhere, and there's no nothing to build. But no, I mean, there was plenty of stuff. I mean, I'm not sure if that stuff comes from people still playing the PlayStation version or people playing the Xbox version. It's out now on Steam. But there was plenty of, but not absolutely loads of other structures in the world. But again, they play into that. They say, well, that there might have been roads, there might have been structures, or things that are being built, but because of the rain, it's deteriorated, and those things are disappearing. But no, it felt fine in that regard. There's like a good mixture between there's some quite sparse bits, and it's forced me to build my own structures, but also seeing others on the map that I could join in and sort of add to. But yeah, I mean, even though it's really, really, really long, and like the ending, I basically got to the ending, and I was still playing 3 hours later because there's like
the ending's
credit
insane,
sequences.
Oh, did you complete it, James?
Yeah, I finished it ages ago. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought it was very good. Mostly because of the exploration, which as we've already identified, is something I like a lot, and it was really good for that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the ending. You're right. It is about 3 hours long, isn't it? The ending. It's. I mean,
I've just finished it. I'm seeing. I've seen credits now, so it won't be long. And then I was like, I'm not coming down because I've on credits. I'm still playing it somehow. But yeah, I just bloody. I'm so glad I went back. I'm so glad I went back. I can see why those people would play it and think this isn't what I wanted from a Kojima game, or this isn't Metal Gear, or what is this, like traveling and posting things. But I loved getting deliveries. Like meeting new people on the map. Did
you meet Conan?
Yeah, I met Conan. Yeah, he's really funny. In fact, he was one of like the few celebrities I did see. I know that was like a big part of all the thing leading up. And I saw like Edgar Wright, and I saw Conan, and maybe there's another couple, but there wasn't.
Isn't that shit just a bit off-putting? Is it not?
I mean, it
just
was
kind of like, I'm in this world, and it's all this realistic world.
His bit was really funny, and he also like writes like emails afterwards, which are quite funny. I don't know. It wasn't totally off-putting because Edgar Wright I'd always seen, and maybe one or two others. But it also tries. It kind of tries to do the Life is Strange thing in that there are bits where there's like where musical tracks play, particularly where maybe you're climbing a mountain, or you've just done like a cool thing, or you're about to set off for somewhere else. It does try and utilize music in that same way to set a tone, set a mood.
Like you mean like licensed music, right?
It's got. I mean, I haven't heard of a lot of the artists, but it's got things like Churches and Bring Me the Horizon, and what's the name of that like band, James, that always plays as like Raw, something Raw?
Oasis.
That's the one, yeah, Oasis, yeah. Mike Flowers, the lot.
Keen.
But yeah, I'm so glad I played it. But it makes me really fascinated to see what he's going to do next, because I would happily do another Death Stranding, but I don't know how successful it's been. I'm sure it has been very successful. I don't know how long it's like going to live long in the memory for a lot of people because
probably
I think the other thing about it though is it's one of those games that benefits from not feeling you got to sort of like rush through it either. And
definitely. I think if you did that, it'd be bad.
We'd just fall over and lose the packages, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably one of the reasons why maybe like Giant Bomb or whatever may have hated it because they've loads they got to play, they just got to get through it or whatever, and it's it's not
defending them.
It's not set up like that.
Fan club over here. What's this?
Don't even listen to him, but yeah.
But yeah, it makes it fascinating to know what he's going to do next because I would love to see him just say, okay, next project it's maximum 10 hours. I want to see what he can do with just 10 hours.
Absolutely. What can he do with a limited runtime? Exactly. Can he actually edit himself down?
The amount of money going into this is crazy.
12 minutes.
At the end,
my next game's 12
credits,
minutes long.
I mean, I might have. In the credits, I saw obviously Kojima Pro, which is his studio, but also Guerrilla helped out in developing this. Insomniac did, Sony Ben did. I mean, that's 4 massive studios. There's probably others I missed.
And Sony Thomas and Sony Simon.
Sony Francis. Shigeru Miyamoto gave a hand here and there.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I'd love to see what we can do with a limited time, and I'm fascinated to see what his next project's going to be. But I'm massively happy I went back and played Death Stranding. Yeah, a big fan.
Nice one.
Cool.
Nice one. So what's next? So you play a game like that and you hammer a game like that, you feel that hole, right? You're like, oh my god, I can't believe that's all over. I certainly felt that after Life is Strange, The Last of Us 2. I was kind of like, oh my god, I've put everything into this every night for a few weeks. The fuck do I do now? Are you in that situation?
I mean, I feel like, if I'm being honest, I think I've kind of been trying to fill that hole since the end of Last of Us 2 and haven't really found something. And so when I thought, Death Stranding, and I was so happy to be back in that. That's all I want to play. That's all I've been playing. It's like a massive narrative experience. I was really happy.
So where do you go now?
I don't know. I mean, I never gave Horizon Zero Dawn a good shot because that was the first game I played after Breath of the Wild. So maybe that. I don't know. I want something. I want a big old narrative experience that I haven't played. So
that is a good game.
That's on the list. Another game I played, and I played about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Because I've started streaming it. I haven't really talked about it. It's Spelunky 2.
Yeah.
Now, I streamed the original Spelunky twice, about a month or so ago, and then this came out in the middle of September, and I was like, it's got rave reviews, loads of people loving it, I'll stream this. And I've streamed it twice now, and I really want to love it, but I don't, and I can't. I don't quite know why. I really enjoyed Spelunky. Again, I only played for about 2 weeks, and I didn't play off stream, so obviously there's lots more I could do. But what I played that I really enjoyed. I got to this, and it's arguably better in so many respects. It's a lot harder, and I'm just not really amped to play it. Or I streamed on Sunday, and I was kind of like, my heart's not really in this. I mean, the trouble is that when it's good, when you do a good run, it feels really, really good. But I mean, obviously it's down to my own ability. But it's just so often I don't. I'm like, it's just frustrating. It feels like there's lots more creatures and enemies in the world now. And I just found it really frustrating. And I know so many people must, play this, and I've seen lots of reviews speak so highly of it.
People are loving it,
saying it's such an impeccably designed game. It's just sometimes it can be described as the perfect game. There's so many systems working at once and incredible design, but I just can't. I've wanted to love it, tried to love it, but I just can't. I guess it's just not for me, sadly.
Yeah, no, that's fair. As I've said, the first one, I fully admire it. And I will happily listen to people talk about how great it is, but I am shite at it, and it's not a fun game to not be great at. So yeah, I was never able to fully get into the first one, and by the sounds of it, I think I'd fare even worse with the second. From what you're saying,
everyone that seems to love this seem to be obsessed with the first one, right? Which is serving the purpose. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the point of the sequel.
Yeah, this is it. And the things that caused me to not get on with it, they're all by design. It's not a mistake. It's it's just I don't know. I don't know if I just wasn't observant enough or I wasn't patient enough, but I was just not having much fun with it.
May I suggest a game to you though, Matt?
Where's this going?
Give Hades a go, I reckon.
Yeah, I saw everyone raving about Hades, and I think at that point I maybe was still playing Death Stranding. I'm not sure. And then and there was that original discount
Hades,
on the
mate.
Switch store on the eShop. And I was like, I should get
Hades.
that. And then I didn't for whatever reason. Then it's like more money now. Again, it's not massively more money. So I probably should. But I saw that, and I'm like,
stream it.
I'm not drawn towards it.
Stream it.
Just play it, Matt.
I don't know if I should stream it. I think I might.
I don't know. I'm not sure it'd be good as a stream.
Not why. You want to get into the characters and the story and that, and if you deal them in the chat as well.
I want to play games for me. I don't want
fuck you, everybody.
I'm sort of playing it and loving it, and like you guys on WhatsApp mentioning it, everyone else mentioning it, and famously John basically discovered the game, John Denton. So when I hadn't really heard about it since he mentioned it the other day.
Yeah, no. I mean, I hadn't either. But John, he plucks these games out of nowhere.
I know, from nowhere, literally.
Just out of thin air.
I don't know how I found it, but I'm so glad I discovered it.
He's a trailblazer.
Yeah,
shut up, Sean.
That game, and I'm thankful for it.
Anything else?
I'm such a sycophant.
I'm not drawn. I'm not like I've got to play this. I'm just not drawn into that. I don't kind of why.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. I mean, everyone says it's great, but I'm not.
I'll get John to text you. Then you'll be.
Yeah.
He'll
sell you on it. He'll sell you on it. Yeah.
But I think I'm probably just looking for my next narrative experience. Maybe I do go Horizon. I would like to play it. Anyway, apart from them,
Hades.
Hades.
It's a narrative experience, mate.
Yeah. Other than that, I played Star Trek Bridge Crew with you guys on Friday, and that's about it.
What a good game! I mean, do we need to talk about Bridge Crew? I think we should just briefly, because people might not even know what it is, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. Yeah, it's.
I mean, definitely. We should say up front the two streams we've done of this. I say we. The two streams that they've done of this
as a team, we've done them. Yeah.
I can't claim it. I wouldn't claim something that I was not involved in.
Well, you brought us all together. You brought us all together, Dave. So
I wasn't involved in it. It's fine. I'd never claim it as part of the collective. Anyway, I would say go and watch those YouTube streams because it just you get it straight away, don't you? You pretty much get it straight away. You could just look at a screenshot of that game and go, I know what's doing here, and you're probably right. But those streams were so funny and they perfectly got across why people are enjoying playing this game and have done for the past year or so.
Because it's been out a couple of years, I think, hasn't it now?
Yeah, it's been out quite a while now.
Yeah, and it's... so for those who aren't aware, you're all sitting on the deck of the USS Enterprise or the Aegis, or, there's a couple of different ships. And so, one person's the captain, one's tactical, so they do, firing weapons and scanners and stuff. And then one person's, I forget the term, but basically the pilot, and then one person's engineering. And you've all got your own... it's a VR game. I mean, you can play it without VR, but I think that would be about an eighth of the fun of playing it in VR, because it's all about as well as it just being fun, just like having this computer in front of you and you're tapping away at it trying to figure out how to do stuff. It's also the comedy of looking up and looking around at your crewmates and shouting shit and doing hand gestures at them, and it's just so funny, but also just good anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you were to do a mission and just be like a perfect, military operation and just know all the commands and do everything perfectly, that would be satisfying in and of itself. But inevitably that doesn't really happen, and it's just funny when things go wrong.
Especially when things go on fire. And then you're looking around and no one's bothered. And it's just it's just incredible.
There was a bit on the stream, on the last stream, where you all cheered because you thought you completed the mission, and one of you turned around and went, hold on, everyone's dead. And you look around and you just see fire everywhere, and all the characters just like laying over the consoles and that. I just thought that was so perfect.
Well, that was when we discovered that Matt didn't realise you had to raise shields.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I
Yeah, we
was
just didn't have
told
our shields on
beforehand.
for ages.
It was the first day on the job. I'm not sure if you remember that.
I mean, it's interesting in that, like I think if you didn't know much about Star Trek, it'd be like even more bewildering because like James and I know for a fact that oh well, obviously you've got to raise the shields manually and you can't transport people when the shields are up or whatever, just stupid little rules like that doesn't necessarily or maybe it does if you do all the tutorials. I think we skipped most of them, to be fair.
Yeah, I went straight into a mission.
Yeah. So having a grounding in Star Trek would help, but I don't really think it's essential at all.
Absolutely
and it's
not. No,
and it's one of those that's been around for long enough that it's and it's pretty much always on sale from what I've seen. It's also taught me to be less of a snob about PSVR because I've said previously, having used the Quest for quite a bit, PSVR feels quite dated in comparison. But you know what? Games where you just sat down doing stuff, absolutely fine. It's great.
Oh mate, that is why. That's one of the main reasons why PokerStars VR was my thing. Because I had a group of mates that I play regularly with poker. So we didn't have to worry about the rules. It was just sitting down playing poker. We all used to get together pretty much every night, put our headsets on. Yeah, the poker's there and we're enjoying playing poker. But at the same time, the comedy you can create by seeing someone their little character moving, knowing that they're doing that in their front room, actually moving around like that and talking to each other, socialising over it. It just, honestly, that's when you look at VR and go, this is what it should be doing. It should be creating experiences like this because this is what explains it all. You know what I mean? I don't need to do a first-person shooter in VR. I don't need to do a puzzle game. All that stuff is fine. I really like Superhot's VR. I thought, what was that game? Virtual reality. I thought that was really clever, but nothing shows off how fun VR can be than a group of your mates all in VR dicking about with something. And as I said, you watch that stream and you see James pointing, going, "They're my guys," and then you're all raising your hands and stuff and mucking about. You're just going, that's something that you can't get with regular multiplayer gaming. You can't have that connection where you genuinely feel like you're sitting next to your mate. It's weird, but also very, very exciting.
Yeah.
That was the end of my little monologue there.
Fucking great. That's good. It's good. I liked it. It's fine. I've just got a couple of short ones. Been playing a bit of Destiny 2 again. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm downloading it soon. I can't wait to get back into that.
Because now we're in the season of arrivals because the Darkness has turned up, which is a load of big pyramid ships.
I believe in a big god love. Sorry. I've been done a million times.
Don't really do a huge amount other than spawn in enemies you've already faced, but whatever, no problem. But obviously, as we all know, certain areas, certain planets of the game are getting vaulted. They're going to disappear for a fair while. But it's just really cool.
October or November? Is that happening before the next big drop? Or?
Oh, I don't know. I assumed it was as the new stuff came out. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's being written into the game in a really nice way. I honestly wondered if they'd just go blink and those planets have disappeared. And they're just not really going to explain why. But no, it's a whole story thing. It first started out that each planet has a vendor, right? Has a character who's supposedly holding the fort, and they're who you get your missions off and stuff. And they're, in each planet, they suddenly they were boxes were appearing around them. Then they're it's probably time to look at fucking off. Things are getting really bad here. And it's basically they've just written this little quest line where you're going to each planet and helping them out, each one by one, helping them out with something, and they will allude to something that's about to go really bad on their planet. And although I've not reached this point yet, basically it's once you've done them, they fuck off, and it's implied that they've gone off on a probably suicide mission to try and stop whatever it is that the Darkness is trying to do as it shows up. So, even though this is all just sort of implied in lore cards and stuff, I'm assuming when the new content drops, it's going to be here's what happened. And it's just nice that they've bothered to incorporate that as an actual story thing rather than just be like, oh, you just can't select those areas anymore, but they're old ones, so who cares? Like they've actually gone to the effort to sort of make it make sense. So that's been cool. We're doing a bit of that.
Yeah, because also Shadowkeep, like, which is the most current. What did you describe that? The DLC
expansion?
Yeah. That's on Game Pass now.
Yes,
so you can play that.
Totally.
I updated it and went back to Tower the other day because when I got back into it briefly earlier in the year just to see what it's about. Again, there's so many things that said you need Shadowkeep, and obviously now I can access that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Although crucially, not on Game Pass on PC until apparently sometime next year. We haven't talked about what we've pre-ordered, have we? We just realised.
What do you mean?
In terms of the Xboxes.
Oh,
I thought we did last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did last week.
I don't think we did. Wasn't it? It was Tuesday just gone, wasn't it?
All right, very quickly, Sean, what have you pre-ordered?
No, sorry. The only reason this is relevant is because I found out that Destiny 2 is not coming to Game Pass on PC until next year, and I just thought, oh well, fuck it then. If I'm going to have to buy this Destiny 2 expansion and then get a console later on, I may as well just get the console day one, and then just play Destiny for free and save £35.
So what console did you get?
The S.
Okay, cool.
Matt, what have you got pre-ordered?
Well, I've got an X and a PlayStation 5 with a disc.
James?
Series S.
And I've got a Series X pre-ordered. Although,
the fridge.
If I can afford it anymore. It's a bit of a problem.
Come and roll around in the dirt with me and James, you'll be fine.
Okay, we'll see.
The only other thing I've played is Marvel's The Avengers. I've only put a couple of hours in, so I'm still just doing the story stuff. Yeah, just to echo what literally everyone else in the world has said, it is a completely inoffensive, perfectly enjoyable action game.
What made you pick this up?
The fact that I got a free copy.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've been kind of eyeing this up still because I really want to play like another superhero kind of game.
I saw it cheap today,
it's too expensive
on Hot deals.
Yeah, how much?
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know how long the campaign is. If you want to wait until I've pushed through that and had a go at the multiplayer stuff and let you know how it is. But yeah, from what I've played, certainly if it's going cheap, it's fine. All the characters are really likable and quite well written. The approach of basically making you experience the story pretty much through the eyes of Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, because obviously she was like the whole story is that there was a big bad event that made the Avengers be sort of cast out and no more superheroes are allowed. And she was witness to that event, and that's what made her a superhero.
Hold on, that's The Incredibles.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh well, there you go. Taking ideas from the best. So yeah, and then it's set 5 years on, and she's like getting the band back together effectively. So you're seeing all the characters through the eyes of essentially a fan who's also sort of graduating into sort of becoming part of the team, and it's just a really nice way of doing it. Yeah, it is perfectly good fun. And I'm not like, for all the bollocks around, exclusive stuff, microtransactions, etc. It's not like thrown anything at me or upset me with like, oh, do you want to buy this? Do you want to do this? It's been absolutely fine so far.
That comes with the multiplayer though, doesn't it?
Well, probably, yeah. The only thing that is weird, and I mean, again, everyone's mentioned this, as you're playing through the game, you unlock new gear, which you equip and gives you different effects and stuff, but none of it is cosmetic in any way. And it's because, obviously, they want to sell you costumes for real money. And it's a bit bollocks to just be like, oh, yeah, you've got a new bit of chest armor. Are you still just wearing a T-shirt? Like, it's just a bit weird. But that's the only thing I can bring myself to actually complain about. Everything else is just pretty good fun.
Cool. And the in-game, what was it? The microtransactions aren't too in your face or anything.
Well, as I say, I've only done the campaign so far.
Oh, really? So it doesn't even
doing the campaign.
Don't shove that stuff
it's not,
in your
not
face.
Even mention it. And it's not like because we heard it was this sort of Destiny style thing, and then we played the demo at EGX. And we're like, oh no, this is just a standard, single player action game.
Yeah.
It turns out, it's both. Like the campaign is that, and then I gather the Destiny stuff comes later, which is fine. So yeah, pretty good out of 10.
Cool.
Yeah, James. On eBay, you can get it for like 32 quid, which is it's basically kind of like the European import version, but it obviously works on PAL stuff.
Naughty.
32 quid on eBay on the game collection, I think.
I'll probably wait until it drops a bit more, but because it probably will.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it's sold, all right, and it's done its job. It's
That's everything we played, right?
Yeah. So I'll do questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do questions. James, it's not even that late this time.
Come on. It's like I was getting excited. You don't have to. You're not going to like artificially extend this, are you? Just to annoy me.
Yeah, we're going to read them all out. They're all coming out now.
I've already caught a few. We didn't get many questions because we said last week that we would just try and cover some of the ones from last week. I've got a mix of both. I've had to edit some out. Apologies if you were waiting for an answer to the question you sent in 2 weeks ago. Liz says, a bit of a specific question for James. I know he mentioned playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and not enjoying it, but has he tried the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 1? I've just finished it, and having really enjoyed it, I jumped right into 2. So far, though, I've been really put off by the English voice acting, which in places is absolutely awful. My favourite examples of weird or jarring voice acting is the cat girl who appears to be from South Wales and the main character gently shouting, "Ah," for his battle cry.
That's what I do, to be fair.
While one's VA work is nothing to shout about, some of 2's would not be out of place in an early 90s dubbed anime. It's also chock full of the usual anime cliches that I think 1 managed to avoid to a degree. I can't believe this was only released a few years ago, as it honestly feels like a step backwards to the JRPG genre.
Yeah, I did try with this game like twice, I think, and I didn't use the English voice acting because I'd heard it was really bad, and I just downloaded the Japanese one instead, and that's not so bad. But I don't know, I just never feel like I want to get into these. I know people get annoyed about that, like Ben.
Yeah, sorry, Ben.
Annoyed about that. But I don't know, it just never really clicked with me. I think partly with 2, it was also because the performance on the Switch was really not great. It was like all over the place a bit. It just never really clicked with me. I don't know why. It just never did.
Fair dues. We had no intention of trying the first one then, no?
I don't think so.
Fair enough.
I don't think so. I don't think so, baby.
We need to make that a new Twitch alert.
Don't want to lie, Bill. Like, yeah, definitely, I'm going to try it because
no one's asking you to lie.
Listeners, I want photos of James Farley sent to at TCGS Co on Twitter. James Farley with a speech bubble next to him that says, "I don't think so." Please,
just use the Star Trek one I did again. We'll just use that. It's fine.
Yeah, do that.
Right, Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS co-conspirators, nice." She's back on top.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That is a good one.
Return to form.
Guess who's back?
It says, last week's so-called bet settlement with its moving goalposts left me thinking about games about games
no
like
goalposts were moved.
Am I right, Maria?
Left me thinking about games like God of War 2018 and their sly design philosophy, where players are led to think they're about to reach their quest destination. They're told, a la Matt Murray, that the remit of their mission has suddenly changed. Are there any games that have done this, and which have you actually enjoyed regardless? So Dragon's Dogma does this. I think it's been long enough now that I can, I'm pretty sure I can spoil that game. The whole, what seems like the whole game is like...
hang on, I mean, maybe Kaiser Sose isn't going to be happy about it.
Yeah, watch it. We'll get another riddle.
We probably will.
What game has on a disc, but it doesn't spin?
What is Dragon, but not Dogma?
You basically, you kill the dragon because that's the game, right? It's a bad dragon, and you go and kill the dragon, and it turns out that's basically half the game, and it turns out that you're supposed to then go up to heaven and challenge God for his throne.
Finally.
And it all gets a bit, that whole sort of attack and dethrone God thing on Twitter, and everyone's like, that's the plot to every JRPG. Well, Dragon's Dogma, one of those. I can't think of any others, though, off the top of my head.
What? GTA 5 does it all the time. Hey, follow this guy. Oh, no, your car's broken down, and now you got to... Yeah, there's all sorts of shit like that. Red Dead does it as well.
Yeah.
Red Dead does it. That mission, again, if you're playing this game, chill out, yeah? Just press that skip button a couple of times. The mission where you're preparing to go and attack something, and then the guy rides in on the horse to where you are.
That's great.
So you're going, right, I'm ready to. Okay, cool. This is going to be one of these, but oh no, this is totally different now. Fuck, that scene was incredible.
Yeah.
What game?
The bit in Metal Gear Solid where you think you're collecting the key cards to turn Metal Gear off, but then actually you turn it on, you pillock.
Oh, no.
It's always happening, isn't it? God.
Kojima smiling, grinning as he was putting that together, wasn't he?
I never see this coming.
He is. Yeah, I can't think of any others though. Should we move on? You just Google it. Just Google it. There's loads.
There's loads of things you can't say without just spoiling stuff.
I suppose this whole question is based on plot twists, isn't it? So
what's the best plot twist in a game?
Yeah, because I've got an amazing example, but clearly can't say anything about it.
What game is it for?
Well, am I allowed to? No, I don't want to say that.
Because then we'll know there's a twist. It's
Death
Stranding, isn't it?
A big one.
Oh, from this year? Okay.
Oh,
probably.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lars Herderdam says, "Hey guys, honoured board of directors of the monolith industry TCGS. As a guy who's expecting at some point, I've started wondering which homemade proverbs I want to raise my children by to help them survive themselves in this particular world. For example, quote, one of the hardest things for the human psyche is your assumptions of other people's expectations towards yourself, or never trust a man in jeans and a blazer, he will try to sell you something. Have you inherited any such sentences to live by, or what kind of wisdom have you crafted for your own children?"
Jesus.
I don't think Elodie comes to me for wisdom.
Personal.
You use OBS and slobs, but what you need to do is reduce the.
Probably humour.
I'm not even sure about that. Just office quotes.
Literally just office
in a way.
Does that make me your child?
Well, Sean. Got a little surprise.
You've got what you've always wanted, Sean. We've got a little surprise. We've actually adopted you. Yeah, it's the forms.
We've not registered as a company yet, but we are legally family now. That's same thing, isn't it?
And that's more important in a way.
Proverbs. Stay on your feet. I find myself saying that to Harry all the time recently. Just stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. Well, like during his football training,
other than football, do you mention
it is literally just football training, okay. But then that's every week and throughout the week when we go to parks and stuff. He just slide tackles constantly. And you're like, mate, chill out. Like,
it is fun, though, isn't it, slide tackling?
It is, but at the same time, there are times where you miss the ball, you miss the player, and you're just on your ass while they walk round you and put it in the back of the net. Like, it's just stand your feet every now and then, mate. Sound like Ray Wilkinson.
Sounds like me playing FIFA, to be fair.
Sorry, that's...
Ray Wilkinson is.
As a tweet did the rounds a few years ago, I've definitely mentioned this before, but yeah, a tweet doing the rounds a few years ago, someone mentioning when they first started working somewhere, and there was this old guy who worked in this office, and every time someone new started, he would just walk up to them and just whisper into their ear, "Never sweat on their time, never shit on yours." Which I think is my favourite advice ever.
Yeah,
I've considered getting that tattooed with just a little picture of like a winking old man.
As a hard worker, I don't agree with that. Okay. I've got a good work ethic. I don't,
Oh, but shitting at work's the best though. Getting paid to shit, there's no better feeling.
Okay. But I will tell you this. This is kind of unrelated, but also related. I was chatting to Harry the other day, and we were talking about teachers, right?
Mm.
And,
you mean the old Channel 4 comedy?
Yeah, he loves that shit. Yeah. No, we were talking about teachers, and I turned around and said, "Who's your favourite teacher?" And he said, "Oh, my favourite teacher is such and such." And I said, "Oh, what about Miss Summer? You liked her?" She went, "Yeah, the problem." He went, I swear to you, he went like this, right? He went, the problem with Miss Summer is that you only see her when the sun's out. He did the trumpet in the right context, Sean. He did the trumpet in the right context. He made a shit joke, looked at me in the eyes, didn't laugh, went, I was like, you are the
Amazing.
best human on earth now. You're the best of all of them.
I mean, that trumpet thing started when I was in like year 6. And like, people in my class are going like,
He's always been a thing, but yeah, it's
I've
just
been doing it ever
doing
since,
it
and now
right
it's been passed on to the next generation.
but he's year 2.
Yeah, like
You know what I
getting
mean?
that
And
right
he's
is
already
not easy.
rocking the
Like
trumpet.
that's
you only like him when the sun's out. I was like, yes, mate, yes. Yeah, no, James, you must have a million of these.
Not really, no. I'm struggling to think of anything that's like that. I don't have like catchphrases and stuff that I say to them. It's just, I mean, I tell them stuff.
James's wisdom is all too nuanced and complicated. That's what he's. That's what
You're
he's
telling
saying.
me that you don't have catchphrases, James?
I bet you must have loads of sayings.
James has got one of the biggest catchphrases in the history of the world. James, what's your catchphrase?
I'm not saying it.
What is your catchphrase? We're going to get another one of those images of Bart Simpson again, aren't we?
Yeah.
In the beginning. That's the catchphrase.
It's not a mantra, though, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's quite short, and there's no real,
There's no message.
Point to it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, this is weird because I'm looking at the Google Doc, and despite us saying we had loads of questions to get through, that's the last one on here.
No, I said I've had to cut some out because of time.
I think
okay,
it's
that's
also
fine.
because a lot of it was feedback, wasn't it? We got loads of feedback.
I assume James
it helps when I
deleted
accidentally.
them.
Yeah, it helps when I accidentally put questions in the feedback section as well.
Okay.
It really lightens up the question section. But yeah, that's us, I think.
That is us. Matt, end bit.
So streams a bit all over the place, but we'll
Yeah,
get
sorry,
through.
I've not really helped with that.
Well, no, you fucking haven't, Sean, actually, to be fair. No, so Friday, so there's going to be no Star Trek this Friday because Sean's away. And so Star Wars Squadrons? That was cool.
Yes.
Hopefully.
That's out Friday. If we're able to, James and I will try and do like a VR dogfighting multiplayer stream. I don't know.
That'd be good.
We'll see.
I mean, if that doesn't work, I may still just stream it anyway, even in single player or whatever.
Yeah, just to see
definitely
some of the
gonna be playing
campaign would be good. Yeah.
Cool. So at the very least, there will be some form of Star Wars Squadrons. I believe that's the full name on Friday. That's Friday at 9. On Sunday at 8, I'm not going to stream any more Spelunky 2. After finishing Death Stranding, I thought about the idea and said it on Twitter, like, maybe I'll do Metal Gear Solid. And because, I finished Metal Gear Solid 1. It's been a long time. I don't remember finishing 2. Didn't really play 3. I did play 4, and I'm about to finish 5, actually. But I thought maybe I'll play Metal Gear Solid 1 again. But I don't know. I haven't really got anything planned for...
Do you know, I think you should, Matt, because it's good. It's still good, I think, and I think you probably would enjoy it. And I think it probably would work as a stream, actually. It's, There's enough there that you can
I was
talk about
thinking, with the
and put them,
rumours of this Mass Effect remaster coming out, are we finally going to get Matt Effect?
Bloody long games, aren't they?
Oh, you'd love
good,
them though, man.
Yeah, man.
You really
not the
would.
first one that I tried. That was terrible.
No, but the rumours are they're making it good,
doing it.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of like story and setting, I think a lot of people still
I
prefer
hear it's
the
the
first.
best story. I hear it's
but
the
as
best
a-
story. That
but as a
combat
game-
was fucking terrible, Sean.
Yeah, it was no, absolutely. It was very clear that it was a company that basically just made point and click RPGs. Suddenly going, apparently we have to make it a third person shooter now, or else no one will buy it. And with dubious results. But yeah, so that story and setting with the updated mechanics from 2 and 3 would be fucking ace.
You didn't play 2, did you?
Me?
Matt.
No, I had them all installed. I really played the first one for a bit, and then like is it Mako?
Mako.
Yeah,
terrible.
terrible.
I think also
terrible.
I got stuck. I think maybe some bugs. I got stuck in a wall, and I was like,
terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2, Matt, that is like a game for you. And I didn't mean to sound like our friend Kaiser Soze with my riddle there, rhyming and shit. But I'm telling you, Mass Effect 2, that will consume your life. God.
It's on the list like so many other things.
Badly. It might not seem that good anymore.
I don't think. I think it's still. Oh, mate, the stories about all the different battles going on, the infighting, the characters.
Oh yeah, man! All the fucking the missions, for each character, the loyalty missions.
Yeah, the loyalty missions, all that stuff.
Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to stream, but I will stream on Sunday at 8. I'll find something. I mean, I've still got Gato Botte to finish and a short hike, to be fair. But I'll be streaming something on Sunday.
You enjoyed both of those.
And Sean is streaming in lunchtimes and stuff. So
I'm definitely doing
flowing like jazz.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely Tuesday night, but obviously by the time this goes out, it'll be too late. But we'll tweet about it and stuff. And then then just lunchtime stuff. I'm just like excited about Star Wars Squadrons, and have remembered all the other space games that I've enjoyed in the past, and I just wanted to stream a bunch of them. And then I had a funny idea for a Photoshop, and Matt came up with a good pun, and that was that. It's a mini streaming series. So
Sean's new streaming series, Interbella. Sean plays a bunch of space games. So are you doing Tuesday nights as well, or just... I thought you knocked them on the head.
Well, yeah, I was going to bin them off. It just so happens that New's working late tomorrow, so I might as well.
Cool.
On this occasion. But generally...
Let's just say, because I know it got a little bit awkward in the WhatsApp group, right? But can I just say, if Matt comes out with Interbella, right, please don't follow it up with... What was it? Sean Trek.
Sean Trek,
yeah, please don't come at it with that. I mean, you must know as you were writing that down, that's not as good as Interbella.
Yeah, no, I don't know what I was thinking at that
stage. And then I put, that's accidental partridge, and then you just didn't reply, and I thought, oh no, I've upset him.
So so those are streams. If you miss them live, they're all on YouTube. But if you want to be notified when we are going live, go follow us and hit the bell, all that usual stuff. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, you get 1 free sub a month. We really appreciate it. We could do with the money. Go over there, give us your free sub. We'll give a shout out if you do it when we're live. Patreon.com/TCGS for an exclusive monthly podcast. Watch us do talks over live. Exclusively for patrons, and loads of other stuff. You can just support what we do over here. And tcgs.co for everything else. That's the website, by the way.
Thank you so much for living it. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Tell a friend. Always tell a friend.
Yeah, tell a friend. Give us an iTunes review. That sort of stuff. Helps, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
We like those ones where people are sad that we're all communists.
Yeah, don't put those ones on there.
You don't do that.
Fuck you.
Just drown them out, if anything.
Yeah. We love you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.